Today, we are going to build an AI content generator application with the help of React and Next.js, in which you will see more than 50 plus templates to generate the content from. Hey there and welcome back to TubeGuruji channel. Today we are going to build a full stack completely from the scratch an AI content generator application with the help of React, Next.js, TailwindCss, Drizzle ORM and many other tech stack. Let's walk through the application first and then we'll talk about the tech stack which we are going to use to build this application. Here we have this beautiful landing page, and in order to log into our application, just click get started. With the help of Clerk, we added this social authentication service for our application. Then on the left hand side, we will see this beautiful side navigation bar. At the bottom, we have this credit user status. It will show how much credit user already used. Then we have this beautiful dashboard where you will see all the templates for which you can generate the content, which is specific for your requirements. I'm gonna tell you and teach you how to write these templates so that user can use it to generate his content as well. We have this search option where you can search immediately without any delay. Then if you want to open any of this particular template, just click on it. Now let's say you want to write a code. Just click on it and just describe for which you want to write a code. Let's say we want to get the bubble sort algorithm in React, right? And then just click generate the content. Within a few seconds, it will generate the content, everything in detail. And boom, if you see, we have this bubble sort logic which is written in the React. Then you will see the step-by-step explanation along with some output and example for it. How cool it is, right? And this particular AI content generator is free to use. As soon as you generate the content, you will see the credit is increased immediately, right? And how this particular functionality and updating the credit use real time, that's what we are also gonna learn in this particular course. Even though you generate the content and you came back tomorrow, don't worry. In the history tab, you will see all the history which you generated the content for your requirements. See, here you can just copy the content. You will see all the information in detail. Now, if you want to buy more credit, we have option to go to the billing and join a monthly membership in order to buy 1 lakh's worth per month. It's very easy. Just click get started and then you will see this beautiful Razorpay payment gateway integration. Add the card number and all of this detail and pay that given amount. You will automatically subscribe to our paid plan as well. You also want to learn how can we add this Razorpay payment gateway in order to add a membership functionality in our application. So this is a complete SaaS application which we are going to build completely from the scratch. At the last, if you see, we have this beautiful profile setting page, and we added this profile setting page within just one line with the help of Clerk. That one also you want to learn how can we do that. So this AI content generator application is which we are going to build today. Now, to build this application, we're going to use a Next.js, which is the React framework to build the web application. And if you are new to this one, don't worry, everything we are going to build completely from the scratch, and this tutorial is for a beginner friendly as well. Next, we are going to use a Tailwind CSS to style and to format our application and to make this application completely responsive. Then the most important thing that we are going to use a Gemini API, which is the Google's AI model. And most important thing, it's free to use. Yes, you heard right. It's free to use, so you don't need to worry about that one. Then in order to store data in our database, we are going to use a PostgreSQL along with the Drizzle ORM, and that one also you want to learn completely from the scratch. For authentication purpose, my favorite, we are going to use a Clerk authentication, which is again free to use, and then we're going to learn how can we integrate this Clerk authentication into our React Next.js application. And we're going to use a PostgreSQL database from the Neon, which is free to use as well. So guys, if you still did not subscribe to our channel, please do subscribe, because project like this one will coming in soon, and this kind of project I hope you will like it. So without doing any further delay, let's begin to develop this AI content generator application. Let's talk about the tubegurji.com, where you will get the exclusive source code from the TubeGurji, as well as you will get the exclusive source code for each of that particular course. Also, you can track each course chapter by chapter. Just you need to join it, and here you will see all the chapter over here. You have option to access the source code, the application demo, or even you can watch it on YouTube. Just enroll it over here. The plan is just starting from the $7 per month, and in that one you will get all the source coded for free. So give a try. In order to create a React project, we are going to use Next.js. Next.js is one of the best React framework to develop the web application. Many of the world's largest company uses Next.js to build their applications. In order to create a project, you have to use this particular command called npx create next app at latest. So go to your folder where you want to create a project, open a terminal at that folder, and then just type npx create next app at latest. At latest will install the latest version of the Next.js application. Now once you enter, it will ask, do you want to proceed? Say yes. Then you need to give the project name. So in this case, I will say AI content generator. Click enter. Then it will ask you that do you want to use TypeScript? Say yes. Then say ESLint to no. The Tailwind CSS say yes, so it will automatically install Tailwind CSS for you. You don't need to manually install the Tailwind CSS separately. Then source directory, say no. The app router, obviously we need that one, and say yes. And the default allies, say no. And then if you see, it install some of the dependency like React DOM, and some dev dependency like TypeScript, the React DOM, PostCSS, and Tailwind CSS. And if you see, our project is now ready. Now simply open a VS Code and then locate the folder where you just created. So in this case, for me, it is in the documents, projects. I think I created in Next.js React and AI content generator, and open it. Say yes, I trust the author. Now on the left hand side, you will see some of the files called app, public, and many more. So app folder, which is the folder in which we are going to write all our code and everything. In that you will see a global CSS. So all the CSS which is applied throughout the application we can write inside the global CSS. Then we have layout.tsx, which is the main layout of your application. Here you will see you have metadata, which is helpful to add SEO for your application. Then inside this HTML and body tag, you will see the children is getting rendered, right? So whatever the page you are going to render on the screen, it will going to render through this children tag. And then we have the default page called page.tsx. Now once we run the application, you will see how this page getting rendered. Then we have node underscore module. Obviously we are not going to touch to this particular folder. So whatever the packages we install, that packages will be inside this node module. Then we have this public folder in which we are going to store all our images, assets, and everything. So whenever you want to use it, you directly use it without providing a complete path. Then we have git ignore, so that we'll discuss later on. Then we have this most important file called next.config.mjs, which help us to add a configuration related to the Next.js application. Then we have package log and package.json file in which we have the name of the application, the version, script to run or to build the application, dependency which is installed for this particular application, and some dev dependency as well. So currently these are some of the default dependencies, but as we start developing the project, then obviously we are going to add some more dependency, and then you will get to know how to add that one. Then we have PostCSS and tailwind.config.js file, which contains the Tailwind CSS related configuration. Now in order to run the project, just go to this terminal and then click new terminal. If you see inside the VS Code only, the terminal is open. Now just run npm run dev, and then it will run your application on the port 3000, and this is the URL on which your application is running. Just do control or command click in order to open this particular website, and if you see now this is the default page running on this particular port. Now let me bring this side by side. And then as I told you, right, inside the app folder we have this page.tsx file, which is the default page. Now if you see, everything which is written over here is rendering. Now let me delete all of this code, and then simply we are going to add a div tag. Inside this div tag I will add a s2 tag, and we'll simply say subscribe to Tube Guruji. So if you did not subscribe to our channel, please do subscribe. And if you see now on the screen, the text is showing as a subscribe to Tube Guruji, right? So as soon as I enter save this particular code, right, it automatically refresh your application. It's kind of hot reload, and you don't need to refresh manually. Now if you see, we have this background gradient lines, right? That's because inside this globals.css, inside this root, we have this background get added. So I will remove this one and then save this one. And now if you see, now our background is completely white. Okay, so that's how you can create your application and run the Next.js application. Now next we are going to install the ShadCN, which is the TailwindCss based UI library, which help us to develop our application much faster. You don't need to write a component from the scratch. Okay, and there are a lot of different components available inside this ShadCN. Here you will see you have calendar, button, then checkbox, alert dialog, and many more. Obviously many of the components we are going to use in this particular course, and then you will learn how can we use that one. So first thing, just search on Google ShadCN, or just go to this ui.shadcn.com and then click get started. Here click on this installation step. Here you will find the framework. So select the Next.js, and then here some of the steps we need to follow. Obviously we already created the project, so we'll not go with that, and this is the simple command in order to initialize the ShadCN. So go to your project. Inside the project, open the terminal, just click add a new terminal, and over here just paste the command and click enter. Now it will initialize the ShadCN. So it will ask you, do you want to use which style do you want to use, default or New York? So you can select anyone. I will go with New York this time. Then you can select the base color. I will select neutral. Would you like to use CSS variable? Say yes, and then it will initialize some the ShadCN. Now once you install this ShadCN, you will observe a couple of things inside your folders. So first thing, here you will see the new folder get added called components. So whenever you install any new component from the ShadCN, that component will get added inside this component folder. Then we have lib folder. Obviously we are not going to touch inside that. We have this util.ts, which is again added by the ShadCN. And another is a component.json, which is a ShadCN related configuration. And the last, inside the tailwind.config.js, you will see a bunch of changes. Here you will see some of the color code is get added, like primary, secondary, and many more. Obviously you can change this color anytime. Okay, now let's go to the page.tsx and let's install one of the components. So over here on the left hand side, you will see a button component, right? And this is how the button will look like. Obviously there are some variant of button, and you can obviously explore this one. Okay, now in order to use this button component, first you need to install this component, then just paste it here. So it will install this button component. As soon as it install, you will see inside this component folder we have the UI folder. Under that we have this button.tsx file. Okay, next we'll simply add this button over here. So we'll simply say button. Make sure to import this button from this component UI button. Then here I will say subscribe. and then save it. Now if I go back to our application, you will see the button subscribe is showing on the screen, right? Now this button you can also modify from this button.tsx. If you see, it has a different variant called default, which is this one. Then it has a destructive, outline, secondary, ghost, link, and many more. Okay, they also have the different sizes. Now if you want to apply any of this particular variant, you just need to write variant, and then you have to provide a different variant, like let's say destructive. If I save it, you will see the change. If I say here the outline, and you will see the some option as well, and you will see the outline with the border. So that's how the shared scene component will work. Okay, so if you have any question until this point, let me know in the comment section. Now before moving to the next chapter, just wanted to change this primary color. Right now if you see, this primary color is kind of neutral or black color, right? And in order to change the primary color throughout the application for the shared scene component, you will need to go to this tailwind.config.js file, and here you will see this primary. Okay, right now this is the default color, so I will just remove this one and I will add some my own hash code. So I will write like this and then save it, and boom, if you see, now my primary color will be this kind of purple kind of color, right? And this will be throughout for all the shared scene component. So that's how you can also modify your primary, secondary, and all the colors. In order to add authentication inside our application, we are going to use the Clerk authentication. Clerk authentication is one of the best authentication service provider in the market, and most important, it's free to use. I use a Clerk for my many applications, and I never face any issue, first thing. And most important, they have different option to customize your sign in page. They have their own UI, login and sign up UI, or you can create your custom UI screen as well. So if you don't have an account, create a new account. Just go to this clerk.com and then just sign in. So I already signed in, so I will go to the dashboard. Here you will see I created a bunch of different projects with the Clerk. Now I will add a new application. Here we will give the application name AI content generator. Now here you will see a different option to enable the sign in. So right now I enable Google, but you can enable Facebook, Microsoft, LinkedIn, and many more. Okay, so I will go with the Google and Facebook for now. And on the right hand side, you will see the actual UI kit that will look on your screen. Now you have obviously have option to customize this UI kit as well. Now just click create application, and then your application is now ready. Now as we are using Next.js, right? So this is the simple command in order to install the Clerk inside your application. So copy this command, go to your project, and inside your terminal, just paste this particular command so that it will install the Clerk inside your Next.js application. Then inside this .env.local file, we have to put this publisher and secret key. So copy this one. Then inside the root directory, we'll create a new file called .env.local and paste this 2 key and save it. Then we have to create this middleware.ts file. So basically, let's do one thing. We'll go to this Next.js guide. Okay, so that will help us to get in more detail when we are implementing that. So we'll go to this Next.js overview. I will put the link in the description about this documentation. So every time when you face an issue, just go to this link and you will see the Clerk documentation link. Now over here, let me go to this Next.js overview, or just search Clerk Next.js. So this is the Next.js quick started guide. So as we already installed this npm, then we already have this environment variable. The next thing, we need to create this middleware.ts file. Now this middleware.ts is very important, and it used when you want to protect some of the pages, and want to add authentication in order to access that particular pages, that's where we need to configure that in middleware.ts file. So first thing, we'll create this middleware.ts file inside the root directory, and then simply we are going to copy this line of code and paste it here and save it. Now if you read carefully, by default Clerk middleware will not protect any route. So right now it's not protecting any route. Now all routes are public and you must option into protection of the routes. See the Clerk middleware reference to learn how to require authentication for a specific route. Now we'll click on this particular reference. So click on it. Then it will jump to this Clerk middleware documentation where you will see the option to add to protect your particular pages. Now here you will see we need to add this create router match. So we'll copy this one. Then after this we'll add it here. Make sure to import this create route matcher, save this one, and then if you scroll down you will see this protect route section. If you scroll down a little bit, now we have to add this line of code inside this Clerk middleware. So this is our Clerk middleware. We'll just simply add this line of code and that's all, and let's save it. Now right now if you see, these are the two path is protected by the Clerk, okay, but right now we'll only keep this dashboard and then save it. Now if you scroll down, I think we don't need to do anything. Now go back, and here the next option is to add the Clerk provider. So you need to wrap your application inside this Clerk provider like this. So copy this one. You have to go to this layout.tsx file and simply wrap your application inside this Clerk provider like this. Make sure to import this Clerk provider from this clerk/Next.js and then save. Now once you're done with this one, the Clerk authentication is integrated inside your application, right? Now let me show you the demo. Right now if I go to this localhost 3000, you will see nothing get changed because inside this middleware.ts file we only protect the dashboard route and we don't have this dashboard route yet. But let's try to protect the home route, means the default route. So I just put the slash and save it. Now if I refresh the screen, you will see it will redirect you to the sign in page. But wait, this is not the URL that we were running our application on, right? So the question is, how can we create our own sign in and sign up page so that we can show our own sign in and sign up screen, right? So in order to add that one, again let's go back to this documentation, and at the bottom here you will see the next step is to create a custom sign up and sign in page. So click on it. Then in order to add sign up page, you need to create this folder path and files, everything, and then you have to paste this line of code. So I will just copy this particular from the sign up to this page.tsx, right? And then simply let's go to this app folder. I will create a new folder. We call it as auth. So when we create the folder with a name starting with this circular bracket, then Next.js will not consider it as a route. Okay, don't worry, we will learn how to add a routing. And now inside this particular folder, we'll simply create a new file and paste this particular line which we copied, and then you will see it automatically create the folder and the file as well. Now simply copy this line of code and paste it here. Now this is your sign up page. Same thing you have to do with the sign in. Copy this particular path, go to select the auth folder and then plus file, and then you will see the sign in page folder is get created. Copy this content and simply paste it here and save it. Okay, next you need to update your environment variable. Copy this both the variables and then go to this .env.local file and paste these two line of code. Next, if I go back to our application, now run localhost 3000, enter it, and boom, now you will see your sign in page. Now it's running on localhost 3000. Okay, same thing if you go to the sign up and click enter, it will show the sign up page. Okay, so that's how you can add your own custom sign in and sign up page. Now you can even modify your sign in sign up page. If I go to this, let's go to this sign in. So let's go to this sign in page. Over here, if you see, this is our sign in page will look like. Let's bring this in the center of the screen. So I will just wrap this up and we'll add a div. Inside div, I'll put this sign in. Now for this div, we'll add a class name, make it flex, item to be in the center, and then justify center. We'll give height to the screen, and boom, you will see your login screen in the center of the login of this particular sign-in component will be in the center of the screen. Obviously, you can add logo and many more things. Now, Clerk recently added a new element called a new component called Clerk element. So Clerk element will give you a complete control of how you want to build your sign-in page. Okay, so they have their own sign-in sign-up page, and simply you can add this line of code and you can fully customize this particular UI kit. It's very simple. If you want to learn more about this particular component, let me know in the comment section. But right now, I hope you understand how easily we added this Clerk authentication inside your application. Now, if you have any question, any doubt, let me know in the comment section. Now we are going to create a dashboard route, and on that dashboard route, we are going to add the site navigation as well as this header. Now, whenever user authenticated to our application, then only user can access this dashboard. On the dashboard, you will see we have this logo on the site navigation bar and some option like home, history, billing, settings. And at the bottom, we're going to add the total usage. Obviously, we're going to add a free tier as well as paid tier as well. Then for the header, you're going to add simply a search bar, and if there is some offer, then that offer on the right hand side. And the main thing over here, we have all the whatever the content we want to show inside this particular layout. So this is our basically a dashboard layout. Okay, and this will be the route. So if you go to the domain.com/dashboard, then it will open this beautiful dashboard. Now let's go back to our application. Let me close all of these tabs first, and then inside this app folder, we are going to create a new folder called dashboard. Now, whenever we create a folder with this simply name, then Next.js will automatically add it as a route. And obviously inside this dashboard, we'll add page.jsx file. So sorry, this need to be a TSX because we are using TypeScript, and then save it. Now, in order to add a template, if you see, I'm using this shortcut called RFCE, click enter, and then it automatically create the template for me. So this is just a VS Code extension. If I go to this extension and just search for the React Redux snippets tool, so this one, so make sure to install this one. And for TailwindCss, we have this TailwindCss IntelliSense. So when you write the TailwindCss classes, it will give you the suggestion immediately. Now, moving back to our dashboard, if you see, now we have the dashboard page. And one more important thing, if you go to this middleware.ts, we already have the dashboard route is protected. Now, if I go back to our application and try to access this dashboard page, you will see I'm getting redirected to the sign-in page because that page is protected. And in order to access this dashboard, you need to authenticate it first. Now, let's authenticate it. I will sign in with the Gmail, and then automatically you will see is getting route to the dashboard page. Okay, but as I told you, on the dashboard we want to show the sidebar and then the header, and inside that we want to show all of our pages, right? So in order to do that, we have to add this inside this dashboard. We're going to add layout.tsx file. Okay, now this will hold the dashboard layout for us. Now simply add the default template, and inside this layout you can rename this to dashboard layout, it's up to you. And inside this one we have to add a children. Now if you see, I'm getting error that I added the children, but we have to provide the data type for these children. So you can just go to this layout.tsx and then copy this data type. So I will just copy this and simply replace this with the new data, with the data type and all, right? And then you have to simply render the children over here and save it. Now if I go back to our application, you will see still the dashboard is getting rendered, but now in this case the dashboard is getting rendered through this dashboard layout. Okay, next let's add a side navigation bar. So inside the dashboard I'm going to create a new folder, and I will start with this folder name with the underscore. Again, when we start the name with the underscore or this circular brackets, then Next.js will not consider it as a route. It will not add as inside the routing. Okay, so just add this component folder, and inside this component I'm going to add sidenav.tsx file, add the default template, and then I will add the header.tsx file, and again add the template. Now once we have this side navigation, now let's go to this layout, and we want to add this side navigation over here first. So I will add a div, and inside this we'll add a side nav. Make sure to import this component, and then in another div I will add these children. Now you will see on the screen we have this side navigation component getting rendered. Next, for this side navigation I'm going to add a class name. We'll make width to be 64, and then I will make it as a fix. So here you will see it's getting overlap because I mark it as a fixed one. Then for this div I will add a class name, and we'll give margin left to 64. And here you will see now dashboard will start from here and side navigation will start from here. Another important thing, I want to show this side navigation only when the screen size is medium or larger. So here I will add the medium. Whenever it's medium, then I will add the width of 64. Otherwise I will hide it, but when the screen size is medium I will show it as a block. And this one as well, only when I will add this margin left to 64, otherwise I will not add any margin, and save it. Now if I decrease the size, you will see the side navigation component get hidden. Okay, so that's how you can hide the side navigation bar. Now next, go to this side navigation, and inside this side navigation the first thing I want to add the logo. Now in order to get the logo, I'm going to add the logo placeholder from this logoprism.com, and here you will find a different SVG logo. This is just a placeholder. Click on it, it will copy the SVG code. Then inside the public folder I'm going to create a new file called logo.svg, paste your code and save it. Now simply I will add the image tag from the next/image, and inside that we'll add the source as logo.svg. Now in this case, if you see, I directly give the /file name because Next.js will automatically find your particular assets or image inside this public folder, because we kept our file inside this public folder. Then we'll give alt tag as a logo, we'll give width 100 and height as a 100. If I save this one and go back to our application, you will see logo is showing on the screen. I will increase this size little bit to 120. I think that's good. Then let me go back. So for this particular div, I'm going to add a class name. We'll make height to be screen. Then we'll add a padding of 5, and we'll add a shadow to be small, and we'll also add a border. If I save this one, you will see this beautiful side navigation bar. Then let me wrap this image inside the div. And then we'll add a class name. We'll simply make flex justify center. So our logo will be in the center. If you want to add, let's add a border bottom. Let's see how it looks like this. See, if it's up to you, if you want to add, I will not add for now, we'll keep like this. Next we want to add the menu list, so I will add the menu list add over here first. I will define all the menu list first, and then we'll render it one by one. So here we'll say name as a home, then I will add an icon. Now this icon I'm going to add from the Lucid. So if you see, let me install this Lucid library. So this Lucid library is the icon library, is very popular and for most important, very easy to use. So let's click on get started and simply go to the installation and select the React one. Okay, make sure you select the React one and copy this npm command, and inside a terminal make sure to install it. Now in order to use it, you just type home and you will see the import statement from this Lucid React, right? And if I click enter, now this home icon is getting added inside your component. Then we'll add a path. For now I will add it as a dashboard. I'll copy this couple of times, then we'll add history. The path will be history, then billing. I think this need to be a dashboard slash history dashboard slash billing, and then the last is setting. Slash setting. Okay, so this 4 menu list we added. Obviously we'll change the icon. Here we'll say file clock, then here we'll say wallet cards, and if you see, this is how it looks like, and the last is settings. Now this icon, obviously if you go to this Lucid icon, and here you can just click on any of the icon, you will see in action how to use it and all. See, next we just need to render this menu list. So I will add a div. Inside this div we'll add a menu list dot map, and here we'll say menu comma index and the arrow function. Inside the div we'll add a div tag, and we'll simply add the item dot, or not item, sorry, the menu dot icon first, as this is a component, so we'll add like this, and then inside the h2 tag we'll simply add item dot name, or is menu dot name. Now if I go back to our application, you will see the icon and the name of the menu item is showing on the screen. Now for this div I'm going to add a style, so I will add a class name, make it flex, we'll give gap of 2, margin bottom to 2, padding of 3. Then we'll add hover effect. So on hover so we'll add a background to be primary, and on hover we have to make sure the text should be white. Then we'll add the rounded large, and if I hover on this one, you will see how beautifully it changed the color of the background. We'll make this as a cursor pointer, so whenever we hover on this, let's save this one, you will see the pointer get changed. For this div, let's add a class name, margin top to 5. Let's give more, let's add 10. Perfect. And if you see, we have this beautiful menu at the left hand side. Obviously you can add more option, or you can customize, it depends on you. At the bottom outside we're gonna add the usage section, but we can add later on in this course. Now we'll add the header. So let me close all of this tab first, and then inside this layout.tsx, before these children we'll add the header. and save it. Now to this header, let's go to this header.tsx file. First thing, we want to add the search box. So I will add a div. Inside div we'll add a search icon, if you see from the Lucid React. Then we'll simply add input of type text, and we'll add a placeholder as a search. Let me see, like this. Let's bring these two components in one line. So we'll add a class name, make it flex, gap of 2, and make item to be in the center. Then we'll give padding of 2. We'll add a border, rounded, medium, something like this. And if you see, we have this beautiful div. For this input, let's add a class name, and we'll make outline as a none. Let's see how it looks. See, okay. Next, we'll give width. So we'll add a max width to be XL, something like this. Let's make it large only. Let's see how it looks. I don't know whether we have this medium. Let's add medium. I think that's good enough. And on the right hand side, we want to show some kind of message. Okay, but before that, for this div, we'll add a padding. Let's add a padding of 5, and then we'll make shadow small, and we'll add border at the bottom to 2. See, okay, so we have to add padding of 5. Perfect. As I say, on the right hand side, we want to add some kind of message. So what I will do, I will add a div. Inside that, I will add a s2 tag, and will simply say join membership just for $9.99 per month. Now for this div, or you can add for this s2, we'll add a class name. We'll add a background to be primary, padding of 1. We'll add rounded, full text, extra small, text wide, and padding x to 2. See, here I will add fire emoji, something like this. See, and then in order to bring this in one line, and obviously we want search on the left and this particular option on the right hand side, we'll simply mark this as a flex and then justify between. See, okay, now if you see, the search bar is quite smaller. Now here you have option to change to large. I think that's good enough. And obviously mark this as an item to be in the center, so it will be vertically center. Perfect. Okay, so that's how we have this beautiful and simpler header as well. Here I'm gonna add some kind of border, so simply I will add a HR tag. Here for this HR tag, I will add a class name, margin top to 5. I will add margin Y to 5, and here we'll add margin top to 3. Let's see how it looks. Perfect. Add a 6. Perfect. And then here I will add height of 2. I don't know this will work or not. I will say border. Perfect. If you see, and that's look good to me. Perfect. Now one more important thing over here, that we can change the font of the application, and it's very easy. So if you go to this app folder and inside this layout.tsx, over here you will see right now we have this inter font from this Google, Next/Google. And if I go to the Google font, if you go to this Google font, you will find a bunch of different font. Whatever the font you like it, get the name of that one. Let's say for example, I like this outfit font. So if I search outfit, something like this, right? And in order to use it, you just need to import this outfit. See, and you got the suggestion. Now you have to replace this with the outfit, Obviously, if you want to change the name, you can change. I will keep as it is, and then make sure to app update over here and then save it. Now inside your application, let me refresh the screen. You will see the change now. Okay, so that's how you can update the font as well. Just quick think, I'm not sure, but let me change the font over here, size to large. I think this is large, right? I think that large is much better. And here class name to be 7, width to be 7, something bigger. I think that's good. Let's make it 6 only. And here I will make item to be in the center, so it vertically center and is aligned. Perfect. So that's how you can add the side navigation bar and the header for your application, and it's quite easy to add, right? And whenever the screen size is smaller, you will see the side navigation is hidden. Okay. Now whenever we are on the dashboard, for example, let's say, that time we have to make sure this home is active one. If I am on history, make sure the history is active one, and obviously we want to apply the style accordingly. So for that one, let's go to this side navigation bar, and over here I will convert this component to use client. So here we'll say use client, and we're gonna use one hook called constant. Here we'll say path is equal to use path name. Okay, let me show you what it does include inside this path name. So we'll use effect in order to console this path. So if I go back to our application and go to the inspect panel, inside the console, let me refresh the screen, you will see that it returned the sub route. So in this case is a dashboard, right? Now once we have this path, we just simply need to apply conditional styling. So over here I will wrap this inside this curly braces, then this particular tag. I will remove this single quote and simply I will write a condition. So here we'll say $, if path is matches, so in this case matches with the menu dot path name. But if you remember, we have this path for each of this menu list item, right? So here we'll simply say if path matches with this menu dot path, then we write a condition. So we'll say and background should be a primary, and then we'll make text should be white. So let's save this one, go back to our application, and now if you see, I'm on the dashboard. If I refresh it, still the home screen now showing as an active one. Okay, so that is very important. So obviously once we have the history page, then you will see that if I go to this dashboard / history, then the history will be active one. Right now we don't have history page, so it goes showing 404 error. Now we are going to implement the dashboard home page. If you see in this mockup, on the dashboard route, right, we want to show this particular search option at the top, and then we are gonna show all the templates at the bottom side. Obviously on the click of search, user can able to filter this out immediately, but this is the basic structure where for this template we have the icon, then the name of the template and some small description. So for that one, I'm going to create a new folder inside this app, and we'll simply call it as a data. So we'll say data. Okay, and inside this data we'll simply add templates.tsx. Okay, or you can say JSX, doesn't matter. Now here we'll simply export default, and inside this one I'm going to add the something like the array of list. Okay, so here we say, for example, name of the template, let's say blog title. Then we'll write some description, let's say an AI tool that serve as your, or we'll simply say AI tool that generate blog title depends on your blog information. Okay, then you can add a category, for example, let's say blog. We'll add an icon. Okay, so in a moment we'll add an icon, so right now I'll keep as it is. Then we'll add an AI prompt here. Now this AI prompt is very important. Okay, so we'll simply say give me 5 blog topic idea in a bullet wise, and only based on given niche topic. Okay, and give me result in rich text editor format. Okay, so this AI prompt we're gonna use in order to get the information from the AI that you'll get to know. Then we're gonna add a slug. This is very important. So we'll add a slug like this, blog title or we'll say generate blog title, and this slug will be the unique for each of this particular template. Okay, and I added the slug with the name because it will help us for the SEO purpose as well. And the last is the form, because we want to add a form as well, so you can add as much field as you want. In this case there are a couple of fields that is mandatory we want to add. Let's say a label, so here we'll say enter your blog niche. Okay, then we'll say field, so which type of field, whether it's the input or text box, so we'll say input. Then we have to give the name of that particular field, so we'll say niche. And is that this field is required or not, so we'll say this field is required. At least inside the form at least one field is required, so make sure to add that at least one field as a required field. And then if you think you want to add more, you can add more. So this is just a blog title generation. You can add a different option as well. You can add the blog outline. So let's say we'll add a label, we'll say enter blog outline. Then we'll say field is of type text area. Then we'll say name as outline, and then it's a required. If you don't mention it, it means it's a false. Okay, niche, and here we'll say niche and outline. Okay, and this will be your template information. Now I already have a lot of template information that I'm going to paste it here, but before that let me show you how we can get the icon. There are two options. First, you can download the icon from the internet and save it inside this public folder, or there is another way that I'm going to tell you. So go to this flat icon which contains a lot of free icons for you, or if you want to generate your own icon, we already have the one of the tutorial in which we created this logo express icon builder, where you can select the icon and depends on your selection you can change the size, change the background, and simply download the icon. But with this flat icon you will find a different bunch of icons. Now here we'll simply add a blog, search the blog kind of thing, and for the title generation, right here we'll say blog title, for example. You will see a different option. Now instead of, you can even download and save it inside your public folder, or right click on it and just click copy image address, and then you simply paste that one over here. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to use, but I will recommend it to download it and put it there, but it's up to you. Okay, I will keep the icon with the URL. Now I will pause and I will write some more templates. So now if you see, I added a bunch of different templates like blog title, blog content generator, blog topic ideas generator, or YouTube SEO title, description, and many more. And for each of them I added the icon. Then for each of them I also added the, for example, let's see. So here if you see, I added the slug. Each of them is a different, the AI prompt, and form fields. Now if you want to get this all the templates information, the link of the source code is in the description, so anytime you can check this out. Now let's save this one, and then let's display this all the templates one by one. So inside the dashboard, let's go to the page.tsx file, and inside here we want to show the search bar, and then we want to show the template list. Now here will be our search section, and then we'll have the template list section. Okay, now for this both this section we are going to create a component. So inside this underscore component folder we'll create a search section .tsx file, and then let's add a default template, and then another component for the template list section .tsx, add the default template. Now let's save both the files and import the search section component first. Okay, now inside this search section, first thing, let me go over here and let me add the h2 tag. Simply inside that we'll say browse all templates. Now for this div I'm going to add a class name. We'll say padding of 10. Now we're gonna add a gradient background colors. So in order to add a gradient background, simply with the Tailwind CSS you have to write background to be a gradient, and you need to mention from start and finish background location. So the position. So in this case I will say bottom right. So it will start at the top left corner to the bottom right corner. Then you have to give the color from which you want to start. So in this case we'll say from purple to 500, then via I will say purple 700, and to the end color which you will say blue 600. Okay, and save it. Now if I go back you will see this beautiful gradient. Obviously we want to modify or add a little bit more extra things over here. So once we add this one, we'll add h2 tag. We'll say class name text is of 3XL, and then font bold. Now in order to bring everything in center, we'll say flex justify center and item to be in the center, something like this. We'll make text white, so simply you can mention text white over here, and boom. Next, after this here we'll add a h2 tag. Let's add a p tag, and we'll simply say what would you like to create today. Okay, some kind of tagline. Then after this we'll add a div, and then we want to add the input. So if you see right now it's showing in one line here, make sure to add a flex column. Perfect, see. Then we'll add the search bar. So over here I will add another div. Oops, sorry. Inside that we'll add a search icon, and then we'll add input of type text. Then we'll add a placeholder as a search. Then for this div we'll make class name flex, gap of 2, item to be in the center, padding of 2. We'll add a border rounded medium. See, like this. Now obviously for this search we'll add a class name, and we'll make background to be transparent, something like this. Okay, but now for this div I want to show a background to be white. Okay, and for this search icon either you can make gray color or you can make text to be primary, and this is how it looks. Now we'll give margin top, or we'll add padding y to 5. So we'll use, oh, not here, we want margin y, something like this. Okay, now let's increase the size of the search bar. So for this div I will say class name width to be full. Okay, if you see now search bar is quite big, but for this div we'll say width to be 30% only. Okay, and here for this one we'll say flex and justify between. So it will be in the, so I think item to be in the center, I don't know. Yeah, let's make item to be in the center. it's not showing in center. So let me okay, once it refresh, it's showing now something different thing happening. But right now, if you see, we have this beautiful search bar. Obviously you can for this you can add the full width and we'll say outline none. Okay, so if you see now, you can have option to type it. Right now if I see, I am typing but it is in the white color, so here we'll say text to be black. Now perfect. Okay, so that's how you can add the search section. I think we can increase this more, so let's say for example 50%. I think that's look good to me. Next we're gonna implement the template list. So inside the template list section, let's import this first inside this dashboard page. So we'll simply add template list section. Let's go into that one and simply we want to iterate this template list. So here we'll say so let me go over here. So if you see this templates data, we want to iterate it, so we'll add templates from this app data, then we'll map it, and then once you map, you have to write template, oops, I will say item for now, and comma index and the arrow function like this. Now here you can mention the type. So in order to add a type, we can export the interface of type template, and simply I will add a couple of things. Let's say name is of type string, then description is of type string, the icon, then we'll add category, then we'll add a slug is of type string again, then AI prompt is of type string, and then form. So this is optional field I will add, and we'll say form. So obviously we need to create another interface for a form. So here we'll say const export interface form, and inside that we have label is of type string, then field, oops, name, obviously all the fields are mandatory, name is of type string, and then required is an optional field and is of type boolean. Okay, and if you see this form we refer inside this template, and now you can just mention the type as a template over here, and index is of type number. So we are getting this error because if you see the form and in the template the form is as a label, the spelling mistakes, so make sure the spelling is correct, and now we are good. Okay, so this is just the temporary I added. Now inside this we want to render the template. Now simply we're gonna create a new component inside this component folder, and we can call it as a template card.tsx. Add the default template, and we're gonna write our card UI inside this template card. So simply we'll say template card inside this template. Now each of the item we want to send to this template card, so here we'll say item, and let's save this one, and inside this template card we want to accept that item. So here we'll say item is of type template. Now you can able to import this template interface because we exported from this template list section. Okay, let's save this one, and now we need to add the image first from the next/image. Let's add a source. Now in this case source will be item dot, and if you see because of we are using TypeScript, you will get the suggestion. Now we want to show icon over here. The alt tag I will say just icon, then we'll give width of 50 and height is of 50. Then we'll show h2 tag. Inside this one we'll say item dot name, which is the name of template. Now if I go back to our application and if I try to run, see we got the error. Now this error is saying invalid source prop. On next/image, the host name, which is this host name, is not configured under the image in your next.config.js file, because we are using the URL which is not related to our application, right, which is outside URL, and Next.js consider this will be a security issue. So first make sure you will add this domain inside your next.config.js file. Okay, so simply inside here you can add images. Now this is the old technique to add the or whitelist your domain, okay, but it doesn't matter. So here inside that you have to add the domain list. So in this case I will add this domain only and paste it here. Now let's save it and restart your application. So I will just refresh it here, and now you will see the icon along with the title of the blog. Now there are a lot of things on a lot of style we want to add, but before that I'm going to add all the content which we want to display. So here we'll say item.description and save it. Now for this div we'll add a class name, we'll say padding of 5, we'll add a shadow medium, we'll add a rounded corner as MD and make sure to add a border. Then we'll make a background is white and we'll make flex column. Okay, if I save this one, this is how it looks. See how beautiful. Next we'll add a gap of 3 between each of these items. Okay, and then we'll make sure it's a cursor pointer and save it. Now for this s2 tag I will add class name, we'll say font medium and text to be large. Perfect. And for this description we'll add a class name, we'll make text is of gray 500 and we'll clamp the line to 3. We don't want to show all the lines, okay, but right now it's showing vertical. So what we need to do, go to this template list section, and for this div we'll make it class name as a grid. When the screen size is smaller we'll make grid column 2, when it's medium we'll make grid column 3, when it's large we'll make grid column 4, and then save it. Now for this one as well we're going to add a gap of 5, and if you see now we have these beautiful templates. Also for this template list section we'll add a padding of 10. Perfect. And now we have this all the template list, and if you see how this line get clamped up to 3 lines only. Okay, obviously you can add more templates, and all the templates at the end of the course I'm going to share with you so that you can also add it. So right now this for this example I added only few of them. Now on hover, if I go to this template card, I'm gonna add hover effect. So on hover I want to scale the size to 105, and for a smooth transition I will make it transition as all. Now if I hover on this one you will see this beautiful transition, right? Perfect. Not only that, but it's completely responsive. When we say responsive, if you see right now it's showing 4, as soon as I touch its medium size it shows 3. If I decrease the screen size you will see it changed to 2, and so on. If I click on this mobile view, this is how it will look on the mobile screen. From here you can change the type of the screen. You want to show iPad mini or you want to show iPad Pro, you can even rotate this one, and this is how it actually look on the screen. Okay, so as you know that this is completely the responsive. Now let's add the search functionality. As we already have this template list, right? As soon as user type it, we want to just filter this out. So let's go back to our application and then let's go to the search section. If you remember, we inside the page.jsx we have the search section and then template list section. Now we have to get the whatever the user input inside this from the search section, then we have to store inside the state, and then we need to pass to the template list section. So let's go to the search section first, and inside here whenever user type something, right, we'll get the on change event, From that it will emit the event, and then we'll simply set on search input, and here we'll say event dot target dot value. Now this on search event we need to pass like this. For now I will give a type of any, okay, and then save it. Now let's go back to the page section. Here we'll define a use state. We'll say user search input comma set user search input is equal to use state. Now this input is of type string, and then simply for now we'll mark it as a use client because we are using hook over here. Now from here, let me save this one. So here inside search section we'll simply write on search input, so this particular name is equal to, and inside that we'll write let's say value is of type string, and then for now we'll just console it just to make sure that we are getting value. So I console it. Let me go back to the inspect panel. Let me clean this out, and here if I type something, let's say Instagram, if you see it's immediately consoling on the browser. Perfect. Now whatever we console we need to save in one state. So here we set inside this user input. Make sure we are not have any error. That's good. Then this particular input we need to pass. So here we're gonna pass to the template list. So here we'll say search input, and here we'll say user search input. We'll keep the name same. Okay, perfect. Let's save this one, and inside the template list section we need to accept it here. So here we'll say template list section is of type string. I don't know what this error does not exist on type string. Let's make this as any for now. I don't know the issue. And then inside the use effect, whenever the user input change, right? So let's say user search input change. Let console this one. Okay, if I save this one, go back to the inspect panel, and let's clean me out. Here we'll say for example Instagram, and if you see inside the template list section it consoling, it means now we got the data inside the template list section. Now there are a couple of things we need to modify. First we'll create a one state. We'll say template list comma set template list, and inside this template list initially we'll store our templates. Okay, so instead of showing it over here, right, we just use these templates to iterate it. Now we'll first store inside this template list state, and then we'll use this template list state to iterate all the templates. Now over here we'll add a condition if the template list, sorry, not template list, if user search input is available. Let me remove this console, and here we'll simply add if user search input is available, then we'll write a condition. So here we'll say constant filter data is equal to, we'll say template, our original template dot filter. Here we'll say item, and inside that we'll say item dot name dot to lowercase dot include the search input. So here we'll say search, user search input dot to lowercase. Okay, like this, and if it includes, then we'll get the filter data, and simply we'll set the template list with the filter data. Okay, if here we'll write else condition, if user input is not there, we'll simply set the template list with the original template information and save it. And if I run it now, let me go over here, and if you see, if I search like let's say YouTube, and boom, if you see As soon as I type it, it's showing me on the screen. If I type tags, see, it's showing tags. Okay, so that's how you can add the filter with the help of this search input. Next, once user click on any of the template, we want to navigate to the new screen, which is dashboard/content and then template slug name. Once that open it, right, depends on the template selection and the form which mentioned inside the template, we're gonna dynamically display the form. Okay, and obviously if in that form only have one input or three inputs, that much input or text area we're gonna show it on the screen along with this template details. And then on the right hand side, we're gonna add a rich text editor. Whenever user enters some input through this form and click generate, it will create, or we're gonna create AI prompt which contains the form information, means whatever the value user input along with our AI prompt. This particular information we're gonna pass to the ChatGPT or Gemini AI model, and then it will give you the output. That output we're gonna format it, and then we will show it on into the rich text editor. The reason that we are going to show rich text editor, because if user want to edit something on there, they can edit it. And then at the last, we're gonna give option to save this information, okay, or to download or to copy that particular information. So on the click of the copy, he will exactly copy whatever inside the rich text editor into a WordPad, PDF, or any text editor. Okay, so this is how we're gonna do. So simply first we're gonna create this particular route. So let's go back to our screen. Let me close all of this tab, and now you're gonna learn how can we create a dynamic route. Now we want to create the dashboard/content. So first we'll create a new folder and we can call this as a content. Inside this content, we're gonna create a dynamic route. So in order to create a dynamic route, you have to create a folder, then you have the name will be start inside this square bracket, and then we'll simply say slug, or we'll say template slug. Okay, enter, and then we can include page.tsx file. Now add the default template, and then we'll just replace this as a form, not form section, but we can call it as a, I don't know what we can, okay, let's say create content, or we'll say create new content. Okay, and then save it. Now if I go back to our application, and if I go to this dashboard/content/something I wrote and enter it, you will see the create new content screen is showing on the screen. But now whenever I click any of this particular template, I should go to that particular screen, right? So if I go back to the component inside this template card, we want to add the navigation. So simply we can add the link tag from the next/link. It will take hrefs and make sure to wrap your complete div or complete card inside this link. Then here we can give a path, let's say dashboard/content/ and the slug name, which will be item.slug. Okay, like this, and then save it. Now if I go back and if I click on block title, you will see the route will be now dashboard/content/generate block title, and that's all the slug name. Now if I click on this YouTube tags, you will see /YouTube tags. Okay, and now we are on the content new page, new create new content page. Now in order to get the value of this slug name, because this is important in order to fetch the template details, right? So here simply we can create a interface. Let's say interface, we'll say props, and then we'll simply add slug for now, and we'll put is of type string, and here we'll add props. So this need to be a routing prop. So inside the props, we again need to add params, params, and inside that we'll add template slug, okay, and is of type string. So this is how we need to add, because this is the props we are using, right? And then we'll add the props of type props only. Let me put this in a capital, because all interface we keep as a capital one. Okay, now if you want to display it, we'll just console it. Let's console it, the props dot params dot template slug. If I save this one and go back to our application, go to the inspect panel, inside the console, let me refresh the screen, and if you see, we have, oh, this is from the side navigation, so it's not showing because we directly console it, okay? But if you put inside the use effect, then you will get the value as a YouTube tag, okay? So that's how you can get it. But right now we want to put this, or we want to keep this component on a server side only. Next, as I say, we need to divide our screen into a two section, one for this form and one for this text editor. So we'll simply add a form section, and another is for the you can call it as the output section. Now for the form section, we want to create a component. So inside this content only, I'm going to create a new folder called components, and inside this component folder, we'll create a new file called form section dot tsx, add the default template, and another component for the output section dot tsx, add the default template. Now inside this form section, we'll add a form section component, and for output we'll add output section component. Now this particular two components we want to divide into two different layouts. So here we'll say class name, let's say grid, and we make grid column 1 when the screen size is smaller, but when it's larger we'll say medium. On medium we'll set grid column 2, we'll give gap of 10, we'll add a padding of 5, make it 5 only, gap as a 5, and save it. Now here if I go back, you will see the form section and the output section. Now let's design the form section first. So inside the form section, right, the most important thing, we need the template information. If you go to the templates, and for example, let's say user select the block title, so all of this information we need it, because we want to show the template information along with this form, right? So question is how to get the template information first. Okay, so simply we can define constant. Here we'll say template, or we'll say selected template is equal to, so we can make the type as a template, is equal to template, so from the templates dot find on the item, and here we simply say item dot slug is matches with the props dot params dot template slug. So whatever the template slug we have, right, which from this URL that we fetch it, and we'll check, we are just finding from this template list. And here if you see it's saying it declare but its value is never read it, that's completely fine. Now this selected template we need to pass to the form section. So here we'll simply say selected template is equal to selected template. Okay, now inside the form section we'll accept here, so here we'll just simply say template or selected template. Okay, and we have to mention the type, so here we create interface props, let's make it this props and here we'll say template, selected template, and is of type template. Okay, and simply here we'll add a props. Okay, let's save this one, and here we have this error saying, I don't know what's the issue. Okay, undefined is not assignable. Let's try to do undefined here, and I think the error is gone. Perfect. Now once we have the selected template, that template we pass to this form section, and then inside this form section we have this selected template. Perfect. So next, inside this div, let's see to display the form or template name. So here we'll say selected template dot name, save it, and if you see, we are showing as a YouTube tag. Perfect. Now for this div, we'll add a class name, we'll add a padding of 5, we'll add a shadow large, we'll add a border, we'll add a rounded large, here shadow will be medium, and save it. Now at the top, I'm going to show the image first. So add image, image from the next/image source, and here we'll add selected template dot icon, then alt as a icon, and give width, we'll give the width of, let's say 70, height is of 70. So we got error that string undefined not assignable of type string. So here I will add this ignore for now, and if I save this one, you will see over here the logo is showing on the screen. Perfect. Then for this h2 tag, we'll add a class name, we'll add font bold, text is of 2XL, margin bottom to 2, and we'll make text color to be primary. Then we want to show a p tag with the description. So here we'll say selected template dot description, and here we'll give class name text gray 500 and text to be small, something like this. See, next we are going to add a form. So here we'll say form, and inside this one, right now we need to iterate this form, right? Depends on the label and the text area, that depends on the input. So here we'll simply add the template, selected template dot form dot map, and here we'll add item comma index and the arrow function like this. Now inside this arrow function, first thing we'll add a div, and then inside div we'll add a label. Inside the label, if you see inside the template, we have this proper label, so that label we're gonna give. So here in this case we'll say item dot label and save it. See, now we got two label because we have the two field, right? The title and the outline. Now for the input, right, we are going to use a Shatcyan input component. So if you see, if I go to this input, we have this beautiful input component, and for the text area as well we have this text area component. So let's add the input first. So go ahead and just copy this line so that we can install it, and then for the text area you're gonna copy this one. Because these two input we want, and throughout the template we only have the input and the text area. Now we're gonna write a condition: if item dot fill is equal to input, then we'll simply going to show the input field. Okay, obviously for now we'll keep just input. Otherwise, if item dot fill is matches with the text area, then we're gonna show the text area. from this Shatsian component like this. Otherwise, we will show a null. Okay, so we already have that. Let me format this one. Perfect, and then save it. Now you will see the magic on the screen. So if you see, now we have this input and then we have this text area as well. Obviously we need to modify this, or we want to add a class. So here we'll add a class name margin y to 2. We'll make flex column gap of 2 and margin bottom to 7. Perfect. Also for this form we'll add a class name margin top to 6 and save. Perfect. So we have this title and then we have this text area as well. Next, for this label I'm going to add a class name font bold and save it. Perfect. So for this one we have this bold font. Now outside of this form, not outside but outside of this particular map, I'm going to add a button, and this button will say generate content. Let's see how it looks. Perfect. Now I will make this width as a full and then we'll give padding y to 6. Perfect. Now next we want to let's add the on submit method. So on submit, here we're going to create a new method. Okay, so we'll call, let me inside this function we'll create constant on submit like this, and this will take the event e, and this on submit we're gonna call over here. Now this event I will put of type any, and I will make sure we'll say e.prevent default. Okay, otherwise when you click submit button, right, it will refresh your screen, and then here you have to give the type as a submit and save it. Now if I go back, so right now we use this function, but we have to make sure our component is on the client side. So mark this component as a client one. So now if you see, we don't have error anymore. Also quick thing, to our dashboard layout. Okay, so it means this one, I'm going to add a class name and we'll say background slate to 100. Okay, so if you see now background slate 100. Now for this particular one I'm going to add the white color here. Let's say height to be screen. Perfect. And then couple of changes. So inside this header, for this div having the input and search, we'll simply add background white, or we can add background white to this one as well to complete header. So that's look good. And for this card as well, and the side navigation as well. So let's add background white. Let me close all of this tab, and then for the form section we simply add background white. Okay, so it will give some good effect like this. See, perfect. Next, on the right hand side, we want to show the text editor, but before that one, couple of things I want to update here. So right now we are giving the 50% to this YouTube tag and 50% for text editor. You can even change that one. So for inside this page.js, right now if you see we added 2 column, right? Let's add 3 column, and then we'll assign 2 column to this output section. So I will wrap this inside one div, and simply I will add a class name, and then we'll say column span 2. So out of 3 column we'll assign 2 column to this output section like this. Okay, and obviously we have the option over here. Now whenever user types something, we need to record the user's input, correct? So along with this input we need to attach the name as well, because we already have the name inside the template. So here we'll say name, and we'll simply attach using item dot name like this. And if it is a required field, we'll say required will be item dot required. Okay, and it's optional field, so this need to be a required. So so we have some update here, so this need to be a required, something like this. Okay, and here it need to be a required, and then we have to write on change event. So here we'll simply attach handle input change event, and this method we're gonna create over here. Okay, and it will take the event. Right now we'll keep the type as any, and then same thing we are going to do over here. So I will copy everything as it is for the text area as well, and then save it. Okay, now whenever you use a type, we have to make sure we'll record the information. So here I'm gonna define the form data, comma set form data is equal to use state, and we can define the value, but we'll keep as it is because form value will be different every time, right? So better not to define. And then inside this handle input, we'll simply add constant name comma value from the event dot target, and then we set the form data as all the previous form data comma name and their value. Here we can define type any, otherwise that's why it was showing error, and I think we are good. Now on the click of submit, for now I will just console log with the form data. Okay, and then save it. Now if I go back to our application and go to the inspect panel to observe the information, here we'll say React, Tailwind CSS, Next.js project, outline. If you want to put, you can put, otherwise you can, it's up to you, it's optional field. And if I click generate content, you will see we got the title and the outline. Okay, if I did not put anything, it will be show empty. But one more important thing, if I put here something like React Tailwind and generate it, it will show only title. That is what we expected, because if user did not put anything, we don't want to add anything inside this field as well. Okay, and one user click generate content, we need to pass this particular information back to the parent component. So simply what we are going to do here, once we have this form information, and when user click on the on submit, we'll say generate, or we'll say just set form data, or we already have the same form data, user form input, you can say like that, and then here we'll pass the form data. Now this user form input we're gonna pass to the parent component. So obviously we have to update the prop. Here we'll say user form input of type any, because we don't know the type, right? And then inside your create new content, here we'll accept user form input, and for now I will just console it over here as a v of type any, and then save it. Now if I go back to our application, so here we use this function use form input. So maybe we need to make this particular component as a client side. That's weird, but let's make this as a client one. Perfect. And if I go back to the inspect panel, if I type something and generate content, you will see inside the page line number 23 we got this console, and that's what on line number 23 we have this console. It means from this child component we are successfully passing the form input value to this parent component. Now obviously over here, whenever we click on submit, right here we say generate AI content, and here will be the form data and the arrow function. Now obviously this generated AI content we're going to pass over here, and its form is of type any because we did not mention type, and obviously we will make our logic over here. I hope you understand this complete workflow, that how we implemented this particular form. Now if I go back and if I select anything like let's say YouTube description, you will see the YouTube description and the form field and everything is get changed. If I select the Instagram post generator here, if you see, you just need to add that keyword and then it will give you the output. Here I think we can add a back button. Okay, so let's add one div. Let me bring this down, and simply we can add a button. We'll say back, and let's add a arrow left like this and save it. And on the click of that one, let me wrap this inside the link. Inside that we have hrefs, and we'll simply go back to a dashboard. Okay, let's save this one, and if you see we have this back button. Let me put class name padding of 5. We have 10 I think. So if you don't put over here, that's also fine, but we have to add padding y to 5, something like this. Okay, perfect. So that's look good to me. Now next we're gonna add a rich text editor, which is very interesting part, because this functionality you will not find anywhere on the internet that we are adding inside our application. Now after completing this form section, now it's time to add the text editor for us. Okay, and then we will add our actual logic, but let's add this text editor first. So in order to add text editor, we are going to use this Toast UI library, which contain a lot of different feature, and it provide a very rich components. So if you see in if I go to this ui.toast.com, I will put the link in the description. Here you will find the under the application, the chart editor, grid, and many more things. Okay, so let's go to this application and click editor. You will find this beautiful editor section. Okay, you can try it, you can explore this one. Right now click on GitHub. Here you will find the step to install the Toast or this editor for the React. Okay, so if you see we have this Toast editor, React editor wrapper. Click on it, and then this is the installation step. So first thing, you need to install this library. So go here and simply I will install it. Then you need to import this CSS along with this editor import statement. So right now if you see, we got an error and saying the AI content generator 0.1 found 18.3.1 and lot of things, right? But this Toast UI support 17.0.1. Don't worry, I will clear this one, and simply you'll add -- force. Okay, and click enter. Then it will install the library for you. See, it installed. Next, as I said, just copy and paste this 2 line of code inside this output section. That's where we want to add the text editor, right? So we have the CSS and the editor. After this one, if you see, we have this simple editor. Copy this editor and then paste it inside this div. So I will just paste it here, save it, and go back to your application, and boom, if you see, we have the editor ready. How cool, right? That's how your editor is ready. Now obviously we can modify it. On the left hand side you will see the markdown editor, and on the right hand side you will see the preview, right? But we don't want in that way. So first thing, we'll add div with a class name. We'll make background white. We'll add shadow large, and also we'll add the border. Then inside this div, we'll add another div. Inside that, we'll write h2 tag. We'll say your result. Then we'll add a button. Here we'll say we'll add copy icon like this, and simply we'll say copy. So we're gonna give option to the user to copy this one. Make sure to import this button, and for this div we'll add a class name, make it flex, justify between, and then item to be in the center. Also for this div I will add padding of 5 and save it. See your result and result text, and then below that we have this text editor. Now obviously this editor has a lot of different props. Okay, so you can anytime go to their documentation and explore it. Okay, but for now we'll keep it simple. So you can give initial value. I don't want to add any initial value, so if you don't want, you can just remove it. Here we'll say your result will appear here. Okay, then preview style, you can remove this preview style. Okay, height also you can remove that one. The initial edit type, here we'll say WYSIWYG. This is the initial edit style, and then I think that's pretty much okay. Let's save it and let me check how it looks. So right now it's look weird. Let me add a height. So we'll add a height of 600 pixel. So that's look much better. And if you see, now we have this dedicated text editor. Also I will add a rounded corner to this one. That maybe looks weird. Perfect. Now it's look good to me. Now over here we'll add on change method, and right now we'll just console it. Okay, and we will connect the reference over here. So we'll connect the reference. We can call it as an editor reference. Obviously we need to define that reference at the top. So we'll simply call it constant editor reference of type any is equal to use reference, and then here we'll add I think, or you can, I think that's enough. Let's add a use reference, and then this reference is attached to this editor. Now with the help of this reference, right, we'll add editor reference dot current dot get instance dot get markdown. Okay, so whenever user types something, it will get print on this on change event. Let's try it. So if I got in console, let me clean this out. So if I type something over here, see, it's getting displayed on the screen. And that's how you can add this beautiful easy text editor. Now the interesting part of this one, if you see, you can change the heading, mark it as a bold. You can even strike through, and you can add the bullets point if you want. If I go over here, and we can add the point 1, point 2, and so on. Okay, you have number, you have the checkbox, and lot other things. Again, here I explore more on their documentation. And couple of things I'm gonna change quickly. So inside the output section, if you see, we have this class name. We can make it bold. Let's make it medium, text little large, so that's look good. And then on the right hand side we have copy option. In future we can also keep the download option. So here we'll say width of 4, height of 4, and for this button we'll add a class name flex gap of 2. Perfect. And I think that's enough. Okay, so that's how you can add this beautiful template. And obviously important thing, open anything, and then you will see, depends on their template, you will see the change. Say okay. Until this point, if you have any question, any doubt, let me know in the comment section. Now once we have the form section and the output section ready, now it's time to implement the actual logic to generate the AI content. So if you see, as I explained before as well, one user click on generate, we have to add the form and AI prompt together, and we need to pass to the Gemini AI model. Obviously we need to integrate the Gemini AI model, and then from that one we'll get the output. Okay, so in order to add the Gemini API, let's go to this ai.google.dev, and then you will land on this particular page. Now most important thing, if I go to this Gemini API, right, it's free to use. If I go to this pricing section, then you will see that you can have the 1 million token per minute, the 1500 request per day, and most important is free of charge. Now this is for the Gemini 1. Flash. If you want to go for a pro, it is also free, but you can only make 2 requests per minute. Even though if I go to this flash, it doesn't not that much difference, and it's you don't need to even add the payment or set up payment or anything like that. So just let me go back, and here you can click on the learn mode and click on this get API key in Google AI Studio. Now Google is also providing this particular studio where you can test your prompt, okay, with then some output form and everything, and then you will see the actual result on this screen. But in order to integrate the Gemini API, here you will see an option called get code. Okay, now click on this one and click JavaScript, and here you will see this is sample code that we need to add it inside our application. But before that, we need to install this generative AI SDK using this command line. So copy this command line, go to your project and paste it here. Now if you see, we got an error, okay, some dependency error, but just make sure you can just add or install forcefully, and it doesn't affect anything, don't worry. Now let me close all of this tab over here, and I'm going to create a new folder outside of this app folder. It means I'm creating a root directory, and we can call it as a utils. Inside this utils folder, I will create AI model.tsx file. Now inside this AI model.tsx, I will copy everything as it is and save it. Now if you see over here, we need to provide an API key first. Now in order to generate this API key, you have to go to this option called get API key. If you don't have an API key, create one. Okay, you just click on this create API key, and it will create a new API key for you. Now I already have one API key, so I will copy that one, and then go to this .env.local file. Here you can create a new environment variable. So I will say Google Gemini API key, and I will paste this key. Now simply I will copy this environment variable, and then I will paste it here. Now we have this key. Next thing, if you see, this is the model which we are using. This is some of the configuration, right? You can change the MIME type if you want. If you have JSON in output or anything, we'll keep as it is for now. You have option to change the token and everything. Now we don't want this function run, so I will remove, and obviously I will remove this run method as well. Also, we don't want this particular method because we are going to use this method at the inside our application. Okay, this is just a model in order to make a call, and then this chart session we have to export this one so that we can use it throughout the application. Okay, and our AI model is ready to use. Perfect. Now let's close me all tab and go to this app folder. Inside the dashboard where we have this content folder, and inside that we have this page.tsx file. Right now, if you remember, so not this one, actually inside this template slug we have to go. Okay, here if you see, we already have this particular method which we created. So whenever you submit the form, we are going to call this generate AI content method. Right now, here a couple of things we need to pass to the AI model. Now first thing is we need to get the prompt first from this templates, right? So for example, if user select this rewrite articles template, then we have to get this prompt first. So simply I will write constant selected prompt is equal to, I'm going to write a prompt type. I don't know whether we mention it or not, but we can write type later on for now, but for now I will just add. I think we already have the selected template, so we don't need to fetch the form separately, but yeah, inside the selected form you can get the selected template dot AI prompt, and it will be saved inside the selected prompt. Then we already have the form data. Then next thing you need to we'll just write constant final AI prompt is equal to, we'll connect JSON form data. Obviously this form data in the JSON format, so we have to convert it into a string, plus we'll give comma like this, and then we'll say selected. We already have this selected prompt as well, like this. Okay, so simply we added the form and along with this selected prompt from this particular template, right? But we already have the selected template, so we just use it. And then we have to write constant result is equal to await, so make this method as a async, and here we'll say chart session. And now if you see, this chart session is importing from this util/AI model because we already exported that one, right? Then we have to write send message, and then we need to just add this final AI prompt, something like this. Okay, then we'll just console the result. So here we'll say result dot response dot text, and inside that we get the result. Now whenever we are generating this AI prompt, we will make one state called loading. Set loading is equal to use state, and initially I will make it as a false. Now whenever we are generating the content, we'll set the loading as a true, and when we got the result, then we will set the loading as a false. So this set loading we're gonna pass to this form section. So we simply say loading is equal to loading. Now inside this form section, we'll accept it here as a loading, and obviously for the props we have to add the new prop loading, and is of type boolean. Now whenever there is a loading, right, we just need to show the loading effect, or we need to disable this generate content button. Here we'll say if loading is true, we'll disable this button, and also I'm going to add the loader effect. So if I will say if loading is there, let's add the icon called loading icon, something like this. Otherwise, or just we can add an effect, something like this, and then we have this generate content as it is. Okay, now let's save this one, and for this icon I will make animate spin, so it will actually spin it. Okay, so this class is from the TailwindCss, and it will help us to spin our particular icon. Now let's go back to our application, make sure to refresh and everything is there. Now we have this block topic ideas. Okay, let's enter some niche. So here we'll say, for example, fitness. And obviously we are not displaying inside the result yet, but we are just printing it on the console. So I will say fitness and click generate, and if you see, we got this beautiful loading. Okay, now it's gone, and boom, on the right hand side you will see this result from the AI. Okay, now obviously if you see inside the template for this block title generation, right, okay, so block topic generation, it has a prompt. It's saying generate top 5 block topic idea in a bullet point only, no description, based on niche in rich text editor format. And this is the only form that we are adding, right? And then we got this result. Perfect, right? If you want to try something else, let's try to generate Instagram hashtag. And here we'll say just keyword. Let's say fitness, then gym, and I will say generate content. And boom, if you see, we got the Instagram hashtag as well. So cool, right? Perfect. Now, whatever the data which we are getting from this AI model through this generate AI content, we're gonna save it in one state. So here I'm going to add a new state. We can call it as a constant AI model, AI output, comma set AI output is equal to use state, and simply I'm going to pass the type as a string. Okay, something like this. You can pass empty value for now, and then simply over here we'll set the AI output as a result dot response dot text. Perfect. Now this AI output we need to pass to our output section, because that's where we are going to show the AI output, right? So here we say AI output and we'll pass as a AI output. And now inside the output section, here we have to add AI output is of type string. Oh, you don't need to add these braces, and save it. So here you got is not assignable of type string. Interesting. Oh, so the thing is, obviously here let me remove this one, and let's create interface props, and here we need to write AI output is of type string, and then we'll say AI output is of type props, or something like that we have to mention. Let's save it. Now if you see, we don't have any error. Now whenever we get the output, right, from the parent component inside the use effect, we'll check is AI output is changed, means it has a new updated value, and then simply we will say constant. Here we get the editor instance using this editor reference, which we already have, dot current dot get instance. Okay, so from this editor we just get the instance in order to save the value, and then from this editor instance we'll set the mark down, and whatever the AI output value is there, we'll just simply set it to this particular editor, okay, using this set markdown method, and then save it. Now let's test this out. So if I go back, and now let's generate the Instagram hashtag for the same keywords. So I will click generate content. If you see, we have this beautiful loading, and on the right hand side you will see the hashtag with the all the formatted value inside your rich text editor. Let's test out something else. So let's say you want to generate the blog titles. Here you can give the niche. Let's say you can give React Native projects. If you want to add blog outline, you can add it, and then click generate content, and on the right hand side you will see the content will get generated, and boom, if you see, we have this blog topic idea along with the each of the title and their outline as well, and then we have this proper formatted output result inside our text rich editor. Now another important thing over here, you can even modify or add your own logic. If you want to change something else, you can just do it with a charm. Okay, so that's how you can generate the content with the help of AI. Depends on the template which user select. So guys, if you have any question, any doubt until this point, let me know in the comment section, because this is the most important part of our application, where this is the main logic to generate the AI content. Now once we generated the output we want to store the user's query along with the output from the AI inside our database. And for that one, we are going to use Postgres SQL database. Now, in order to connect Postgres along to our application, we are going to use the Drizzle ORM. ORM is stand for Object Relational Mapping. So if you don't have knowledge to write a query, so that's where the ORM play a very important role. So yeah, Drizzle is a TypeScript based ORM and it's very easy to use it. So if you are new, don't worry, because we are going to walk through everything in detail. So first thing, you have to go to this orm.drizzle.team, and this is the official website of Drizzle ORM. Then click on this documentation, and inside that on the left hand side you will see the Postgres SQL. As we are using Postgres SQL as our database, and these are some of the services who provide a Postgres SQL for a free. Now in this particular project we are going to use a Neon Postgres SQL. Now Neon is just a service provider and they provide you Postgres for a free to use. So they have the paid tier as well, but they have free tier where you can use half GB of storage. Okay, so just go to this neon.tech and just log in. And once you log in, you can create a new project. I already have one project created, so I will open that one, and then you will now jump on this dashboard page. If you see, I have a lot of different project which I already built with this Neon Postgres SQL database. But if you want to create a new database, just go to this database and click create new database. Now you have to give database name. Here I will say AI content generator. Okay, then you can select the account owner and then simply click create. Now once you create, it will create this connection string in order to connect your application to this Postgres SQL database. Now just copy this one and then go to your environment variable. Over here we'll say next underscore public underscore drizzle db URL, and then paste this particular URL. Okay, and save it. Next, let's go back to this Postgres SQL, and in this Neon section, if you see, we have to install this couple of dependency. The first is Drizzle ORM Neon database serverless dependency. So go to your project and let me clear this one and paste it here. Make sure I will just make sure it will install. So I will add dash force. Same thing you have to install with this Drizzle kit as well. So we'll wait to install this particular dependency. Perfect, it install. Then we install this one as well, and then it will install this dependency as well. Okay, once it install, you have to add this line of code inside in one of your files. So what I will do, if you remember, I already have this utils folder. Inside this utils folder, I will create a new file called db.tsx. Enter it and then simply paste your code over here. Now here inside this database URL, you just copy the environment variable. So I will go to this and over in from this .env.local file where we added this connection string, copy this connection string environment variable and paste it here. Then make sure to export this db. This is very important. So in order to use this db throughout the application, we have to make sure to it export so that you can use it. Next, once you are done with this one, now it's time to create a schema. When we see the schema, if you see on the left hand side, this is the sample example that how to create the schema and all for this Postgres SQL, MySQL and SQLite. Now in order to the schema is nothing but to create a table inside your database, and you define that schema first inside your one of your file inside your application, so that you can also use it when you want to access or add a new data. It's very easy. Inside this util folder, create a new file called schema.tsx, and simply here I will say export constant and here we'll say AI output as our schema name. Then you have to write pg table because we want to create a new table. Make sure it is importing from this Drizzle ORM pg core, and then you have to give the table name. So in this case I will say AI output, comma, and then inside this curly braces you have to provide all the column name which you want. So in this case we'll say id as our first column. Obviously I added as a serial because it will auto generate the id, and then inside this code you will provide the column name as id. Okay, this is just a field name in order to access it inside your application, and then this string inside this serial is actual the column name, and then I will make it as a primary key. Next we can add form data. Okay, and inside the form data this will be a varchar from this pg core, and then I will give column name as a form data. Okay, it should be a not null, so you can mark it as a not null. So if you pass it as a null, then it will give you the error. Then you will say AI response as a text because we want to add it as a text. And if you see I'm importing this text from this Drizzle ORM, again inside here you can write AI response as a column name. Then the user email who created this one, so here we say created by, and then we want a varchar with an email, the user's email only. Okay, this should be a not null. You can also add also this need to be not null like this. You can also add when it get created. Okay, so created at, and we'll say varchar again. Here we'll say created at, and that's all. If you want pass not null, doesn't matter for us. Okay, main important thing is this form data response and who created that particular who created this particular record, right? After this, let me add a couple of things. So along with this AI response, we want to add the slug name. Okay, so template slug. So here we say template slug, and simply we can say text, not text, but we'll add just to varchar template slug, and this should be a not null, and then that's all. So these are some column which we created. Now if you want to create the column later on, you can just create here. I will say created by as a column name only. Okay, if you want to change it something, okay, you can always change this one as well. Now once you create the schema, the next thing we need to add one more important file. So if you go to this Drizzle kit, okay, and just scroll down for the configuration part, see like this. Now I will select this drizzle.config.js file, copy this line of code, and you have to create this drizzle.config.js file inside your root directory. So here we'll say drizzle.config.js file and paste your code. Now inside this URL you just need to copy this URL. This is the connection string. I will just paste it here and save it. Now you have to provide the schema, the path, okay, the complete schema path. So here we'll say /utils/schema .tsx. Okay, so this is your schema file which you provide. Also along with it, inside your db.tsx, make sure to import the schema. So here we say import star as a schema from, and the file name which is a schema, and same here I will pass it as a schema. Okay, it's an optional field but it's better to have. Now once you're done with this one, now we need to run the db push commands in order to push all your schema, that is nothing but a table, to your database. So for that one, inside this packet.json, I'm going to write one script. One script means one line of script. Let's say db push, and here we'll simply write drizzle kit space push. Okay, so it will push the changes. Now if I go over here and just type npm run db push, something like this, because this is the script we wrote, right, and enter it, you will see the change is saying changes are applied. It means all the database which or the column which we created is now live. So if I go to this neon console and go to the table and select the AI content generator table, and if you see, we have the new table name called AI output, and right now inside this AI output you will see the ID, form data, and all of this column that we just created through this schema.tsx. Okay, cool, right? Perfect. Now Drizzle also provide you a very important tool called Studio. So if I go to the Studio where you can locally manage your data, okay, it's very easy to use. So in order to run this Studio, and it will obviously connect with our database, just I will add one more script here. We'll say db studio, and here we'll say drizzle kit studio and save it. Now inside your terminal you just need to write npm run db, and here I will make it as a studio and enter it. Now you will see that your Drizzle Studio is currently in beta and is running on this particular port. If I open this one, this particular URL on the browser, you will see the AI the table name where we have all the column which we created. Here you have option to run the SQL query as well as a Drizzle query as well. Okay, perfect. And all of your column will come over here. You have option to add a new record. You have option to filter the column and many more things. You can even download this record as well. So that's how you can run the Studio, and you can set up your backend of your application. Now obviously once we set up the backend, now in next chapter we will learn how can we store the data inside our Drizzle Studio. Now as soon as we generate the content and we got the content, we need to save that inside our database. So in order to save information inside our database, we're going to create a new method called constant. We'll say save in db, and this method will help us to save the information. So here we'll say constant result is equal to await. So we'll make this method as a asynchronized. So we'll say await db. Now make sure to import this db from this utils/db, okay, which we already mentioned inside of utils db.tsx. okay, so this db we are using. Now db dot, now it has a method called insert because we want to insert the record. Then we have to give the schema name. So in this case our schema name will be AI output. So here we'll say AI output dot values, and now inside this we have to provide all the value. If you do the control space, you will see these are the value we need to add. Now ID will automate generated, so you don't need to add, but we need to add form data. So this form data will be we'll say form data. Now obviously this save in db we need to call, we'll say await, and we need to call inside this generated AI content as soon as we got the data. Okay, now obviously over here we'll send the form data, along with we want to send the AI prompt, the slug name. So here we'll say selected template dot slug, like this. Okay, perfect. And now over here we'll accept the form data as type any I will keep, and the slug I will keep type any for now. And now inside this value we'll add the form data. Then we want to add the template slug, which is this slug again. Then we want to add output. So here we'll say AI output. So if you see this is the AI output, right? So we'll simply have the type of string, and then we'll pass this AI output as well. And here we'll say AI response as a AI output. Okay, here we can rename this to AI response, so just little meaningful. Then we need to pass the who created this particular response, right? So it's a created by, and now in order to get the user's email or login user email, we have one hook, and you can define it here. We'll say constant user is equal to use user from this clerk. Now this user variable contain a lot of information, like let's say user dot primary email address dot email address to get the email address of the user. Okay, then we have the created ad. Now for the created ad, you can write the date over here, or timestamp as well, it's up to you. But for that one, I'm going to use one library. So if I open new terminal, here we have one library called moment. So let's install this library. Okay, we'll install this library, and in order to add the formatted date, you can just write moment.format. So it will write the current date, and you can give the format like dd/mm/yyyy. Okay, like this. And I think that's all. ID will generate automatically. So these are some information which we passed. Now over here, so instead of AI output, I will put this information as it is over here. Okay, like this, and save this one. If you see, we don't have any error, and inside the schema I remove this created by a mandatory field for now. Now once the data is inserted, we'll console the result just to make sure that we are getting the result, and we can show some kind of success message and all. But for now I think that's all. Let's save this one and let's test this out. So if I go back and let me refresh the screen once, and let's search something, let's say Instagram hashtag. So here we'll add some keywords, we'll generate the content, but in the meantime we will open the console and we'll say generate content. Now if you see, it's loading, and boom, if you see, we have got the result, and at the right hand side at the console we got the command as a insert. We inserted row 1, and if I go to our Drizzle Studio, if I refresh it, you will see the form data with the keyword, the AI response, obviously it's a very big, then template slug, created by, and the created ad. All of this information is get saved inside our database. And same thing you will find it if I go back, and let's say you want to generate the emoji to text, right? So here let me copy this same text, I will put it here, and we'll say generate content. And if you see, as soon as this particular content will generate this beautiful text with the emoji. And not only that, but inside our database we are storing that information. See, okay, so here inside this AI response we have this all information with all required fields and all. Okay, so that's how you can store the data inside your database. Obviously this information we need it in order to display in under the history section, so user can come anytime and check his history. So here I already created this history page. So just go to this dashboard and history, you will find this history page. For that one you just need to create an history folder inside the dashboard. Over here it's quite simple. I just added this header with the grid column, and under that one I just used to fetch all the history from this Drizzle ORM from the Postgres SQL database and display it over here by order by descending. Okay, here the AI response, the template, then the date and number of words, I just get it from the length of that one, and here you will find the copy option. As simple as that. Okay, so there's nothing magic over here, it's quite simple and very straightforward. So go ahead and try this one. This is just task for you, it's quite easy to do it. Now we are going to show the credit use at this side navigation bottom section. In that one we're going to show a progress bar, and then we're going to show how much credit user use from 10,000 words or kind of thing, right? So let's go back to our application. Let me close all of this tab, and then inside the side navigation, so which comes under this dashboard component where we have this side navigation. So at the bottom section, we are going to add the credit use status. So for that one, after this div, I'm going to add one more div, and inside that we can add a component. So from this underscore component, we can add usage track.tsx file. Now add the default template, and then this usage track, you can add it here. Now if you see on the screen, let me refresh it once, you will see the usage track is showing, but we want it at the bottom side. So for this div, we'll add a class name. We'll make this as an absolute. We'll say bottom 10 and left 0, and we'll make width to be full. Also for this particular div, we'll make the position as a relative, and if you see, now it's come to the bottom of the screen. Perfect. Now let's go to this usage track. Inside div, I'm gonna add one more div, and then inside this div, we'll add simply s2 tag. We'll say credits. Let's add div for this the class name for this div, and we'll say background to be primary, text to be white, margin we'll just add a rounded corner to this one, a large, and let's add a padding as well, padding of 3, and save it. So this is how it will look like. For this div, we'll add a class name, padding, or we'll say margin to 5. Perfect. Then after this, we're gonna add a div, and we want to add a progress bar. So first I will add a class name, height of 2. We'll add a background. Now in this case, I want to add a custom color. So you can define inside the square bracket, and you can add the color code. So in this case, I will add this particular color code, and then we say width to be full, rounded, full, and margin top to 3. Now here you will see the horizontal line. It means it's not filled yet, right, kind of thing. So it's a light color only. And again, inside this div, we'll add a class name, is of height 2. The background, in this case, I'm gonna add a white. I will make it rounded as a full. And now over here, we want to give the width. Now this width we're gonna calculate programmatically, but for now, here inside the style, I'm gonna add a width, let's say 35%. Okay, and then you will see this beautiful progress bar. See, okay, perfect. After this, let me add, for this class, we'll add a font medium, and after this, maybe after this div, we can add s2 tag, and we can write let's say this is just a hard coded of 10,000 credit used, something like this. And here I will make a class name as text small and save it. And now if you see, we have this beautiful text over here and showing the progress bar. Here we'll give margin y to, let's say 1, let's say 2, let's see how it looks. I think that's good. And below that, I'm going to add a button. So outside of this, we'll add a button. We'll say upgrade. This button will add a class name, width to be full, and let's see how it looks. We'll give margin y to 3. Perfect. And we have this upgrade button. If you want to change this upgrade to some kind of ghost variant, or let's say variant as a, we have the link outline secondary, let's put secondary, and this is how it looks. Perfect. Just I'm going to change this color, text color, to primary. Perfect. Okay, so here we have this upgrade button, and when user click on upgrade, obviously we will navigate to the we can navigate to the billing section or the screen where we can show the billing information. Okay, and obviously now from there if you see we have this word, that word count we're gonna calculate over here, and then we have to display all of this information. So inside the usage track, first we'll get the user information is equal to use current user from the server, because this component is on the server side, and simply we'll say constant result is equal to await. We'll make this function as a async, or better we can make this component as a client side, okay, because we're gonna use a context as well. So here I will say use user from the client side, and here we'll say await db dot select from, and then our schema name, which is the AI output dot where equal to AI output dot created by, comma, and the user dot primary email address dot email address. And after this one, we'll get the result obviously, and here we're gonna write a method constant get total usage, like this. Now simply we have to count. If I go to studio, we have to let me refresh it. So from this AI response length, right there, from there we have to just count the number of words. Okay, so simply what I am going to do, I will use result dot for each, and let's define total is equal to 0 initially, and here we'll say total is equal to element dot AI response dot length, or we can say total plus. Okay, I don't know what's this. Okay, so we have to define this total is of type number, and we have to make sure this will be the number, so we'll convert this into a number, something like this. See, and then here we'll just console this result, not result, the total. Okay, and we're gonna call this method whenever we have the result information. So either you can define the use effect, and here you can define if the result is there, then execute this get total user. So here I'm going to write a condition result, and obviously we have to check user as well, and user result and user is available, then only execute this particular line. And let's save this one. So if I go back to our application, go to the inspect panel, go to the console, so we have the error hooks. Oh, so right now this is not a good idea to define over here, so simply I will remove it, and we'll define a method. We'll here say constant get data, and we'll define inside this, we'll make this as a async. For now, let me comment this out. I will just make sure now we don't have any error, that's, and we make this as a use client, that's correct. Okay, we need to remove this current user. So async is not supported in client component. Okay, so I think this is not supported. I think we are good now. Perfect. Now you can uncomment the code. And what I'm going to do right now, instead of using this use effect, obviously we have to use effect, but not in this case. So I will change a little bit. So I will call this get data first. If user is available, I will call this get data first, and then once we have the get information, right, then I will call this get total usage. So I will call this get total usage, and we'll pass the result to this one. Here we'll get the result, and this result is of type history, if you remember, right? So don't know, let me go to this history first, because we did not export this. So export this so that we can use it. History, and this result information, we got it. Here I will define the history is of type history, array of history. So we just paste text ignore, and here I have to array, so result history of array. Okay, I think now we are good. Let's save this and let's test this out. So if you see, now we got the total as 792, and if I go to this history, oh, I'm on billing. Let's go to the history. Here you will see the total count of this one is something like, I don't know what, I forgot. It's something like 792. Perfect. So this number we're gonna save in one state. So here we'll say constant total usage, comma set total usage is equal to use state and is of type number, and simply here we'll set the total usage as a total. Now this number we are replace with over here as a total usage. Okay, now obviously we have to calculate the percentage as well. So now here simply we're going to calculate the percentage. So simply in order to calculate the percentage, we'll write total, or you can write here total usage divided by 10,000 into 100. And as this is defined, total usage is possibly undefined, so you can put the default value over here as a 0. And now we are good. So over here make sure add a percentage sign like this and save it. Now if I go back to our application, here you will see it's total usage. Okay, perfect. Now let's test this demo. So if I go to the home and let's say we want to generate the blog content, so here the blog topic will be on fitness, gym, daily workout. And if you want to put outline, you can put it. I don't want to keep, and I will put the generate content, and then we'll wait, and boom, if you see we have this beautiful the blog is written, okay, with the name, the outline of that one, and lot of more, and this is the complete blog. Okay, now if I go to the home, let me refresh the screen once, and you will see the change. Right now user use 3,828 out of 10,000 credits, and you will see the progress bar as well. So that's how you can show the status of the credit and all. Now one more important thing, we have to restrict user if user reaches 10,000, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to save this total inside our context. Okay, so let me close this one, and then we'll define the context inside the app folder. First we'll create a new folder called context, and inside this we'll create total usage context.tsx. Now here we'll say export constant total usage context is equal to create context from the React, something like this. And you can put is of type any. Here we have, okay, work argument, here put null, or you can put null or 0. Okay, this need to be a type number, so we'll put a type number only and save. Now with this context we have to wrap the context provider, the application inside this context provider. Now go to the dashboard inside the layout, because obviously we want to play around only dashboard, right? Here we simply add total usage context dot provider, and here we need to provide the default value, obviously something like this. Now we'll make this as a use client, and then over here we'll define constant total usage, comma set total usage is equal to use context, not use context, use state, because this is the initial state, right? This is a default value 0 and is of type number. Then we'll pass this true value or true state to this value, and I don't know what's the error, so it does not exist in the type number. So right now let's give type any. I don't know, not any is working. Okay, let's do one thing here. I put the total context as any, and now the error is gone. Okay, sometimes the TypeScript act very weird. Now we have the total context and everything. Now let's go back to this usage track, and over here we're gonna use that context. So here we'll say total. So instead of using this state, right, we can simply wrap this, and instead of this one we'll define the use context. Okay, and then context name, which is total usage context, like this. And then obviously we'll use this one only to set the value. Perfect. Let's save it for now and let's test this out, whether it's working or not. And if you see, everything is working as expected. Perfect. Now I will copy this total use context. Okay, and then whenever user try to generate the record, right, it will check whether total usage context total usage is not greater than 10,000 words. So let me do it. So let's say user is trying to generate the content. So over here, whether we have, okay, so here, so simply here we say if, before that let's add this context. So I will just import this context first, and here we will say if total usage is greater than equal to 10,000, then we'll return empty, and over here we'll just show some kind of toast message or alert dialog. Let's put alert dialog. So we'll put alert dialog from the shared CN. So let's go to the shared CN, and over here inside the component we'll put the alert dialog, something like this. So let's import this alert dialog first. So I will copy it, and then we can put it here as well, so it's not big deal. Oops, we have to install it first. So let's install it. So because of that text editor, right, we have to do this forcefully. I don't know why, but yeah, that's act weird. Oh, so it's saying alert dialog already exists. So there is some issue while installing, but another way that we can do, we can redirect user to the new page. For now I will just console it, and here we'll say please upgrade. Okay, right now obviously our usage is less than 10,000, so we'll not get that error, but if it's greater than the 10,000, then obviously it will console it. Okay, right now if you see, we don't have the billing information, right? So you can do the billing information as well. So for now, for example, let's say we'll add a new route called billing inside the dashboard only, or we can add the billing outside of dashboard, but let's add a billing for now over here. So billing.tsx, add the default template, and then over here I'm going to define the router is use router. I think this use router we need to import from this next/navigation, and simply we'll say router dot push, and then we'll push it to the dashboard/billing. Just make sure that billing is working. If I click billing, see, it's jumped to the billing, but it's saying the path is not there. So let me, this is the billing inside the, oh, so my bad. So here we need to create a page of the folder called billing, and inside that we'll move this one, but this need to be a page.tsx file. And now if you see, we have this dashboard billing. Obviously you can implement the billing section over here, but for now I will just redirect it to the billing section of the dashboard, and that's all. Okay, so that's how you can implement it if the total usage is greater than 10,000, and then you can just redirect it to the billing route. Now once the content is generated and once we have the result, if user want to copy it, right, user can select from here, or user can click this button, and on the button click we want to copy it. Also inside the history section we have this copy button, and from there as well you can just copy this response. So simply let me go back to our application where we have this the output section component where we have this copy button, right? So simply over here I will add an on click method, and in order to copy on a clipboard, it's very easy. You have to write navigator dot clipboard dot write text, and then you have to write the text. So in this case we have to just simply write the output. So here I will say AI output, something like this, and then save it. Okay, same thing I will do it for the history as well. So if I go to the history where we have this button, we'll add on click method, and simply here we'll say navigator dot clipboard dot write text, and then we have to write the item dot AI response, and then save it. Now if I go back to our application, as we are using function over here, interesting, so we have to make this as a client side. Save it. Perfect. And now if I click copy, it will get copy. Same thing, once the content is generated, then you can just copy, and if you see, I don't know whether I copied or not, but you will get copy inside your clipboard. Okay, so that's how it works. So right now we are going to use Razorpay to make our payment. So Razorpay is one of the best payment gateway, and it also accepts the international payment, and it's free to join. So let's understand how will be the workflow. So let's say user want to make a payment. So when user click on the make payment button, right, we're gonna generate the subscription ID from the API that we are going to create. Then along with the subscription ID and the plan ID, which we can create this plan ID from this Razorpay dashboard, then this particular information we will pass to this Razorpay, and then the payment will be made. So first thing, let's go to this Razorpay and create an account if you don't have one. Then once you create the account, you will land on this particular page. Currently if you see, I am in the test mode, but anytime you can change to this live mode. Now in order to create the payment subscription plan, right, go to this subscription. Over here you will see the plan option. Now I already have a couple of plans which already created, right, but you can just click on this new plan, give the plan name, and then once you create the plan name, add the billing amount, when you want to charge, the frequency, and everything. Okay, as you know that this is the subscription integration which we are doing. Now once you got this plan name we need it. So for now I will just copy this plan name. Let me copy this plan name, and inside this .env.local I will just enter plan, or we will say subscription plan ID, and then paste this plan ID. Let's save this one. Next, let's go to the account and setting in order to generate the API key and the secret key. Once you jump on here, you will see the API key. Click on this API key. Right now if you see, we have this API key, but we're going to generate a new. So just click on this regenerate test key. I will deactivate old one, and then it will generate me this key ID and the key secret. Now make sure to download this key or copy it somewhere, because once you download or said okay, right, and once if you close this window, the secret key will not available to see. So here I will just add Razor Pay key ID is equal to this ID, and then again Razor Pay will say secret key is equal to, and then I will copy this secret key as well. Okay, and then save it, say okay, and now we have got this key as well. Okay, so let's go back to our application, and the next thing is, as I told you, we need to create the subscription ID. Before that, I just wanted to tell you that inside the dashboard we already have this billing route, and inside the page I added the two plans. One is the free, which is the current one, and another one is the monthly one. So once you click on this get started, we have to call that API, get the subscription ID, and then pass it to the Razor Pay SDK. Okay, so let's go back. If you want to get this source code, you can get it from the link which is in the description. Now in order to create an API, right, we are going to use the Next.js API functionality. So go to this app folder and just create a new folder called API. Inside this I will create a new API route. Here we'll say create subscription dot, not sorry, this is the folder actually. So we'll create a folder, and this is the route actually. Okay, and inside this we create a route.js file. Now this is nothing but, let's say this is the /API/create subscription, and once you have this create subscription, this is the API endpoint for your route. Okay, now inside this we create export async function. This will be a post call, and it will take request result like this, and enter. Now in order to install access the Razor Pay, right, we are going to install the Razor Pay. So here install the Razor Pay using npm I Razor Pay. I will force it to install, and once it install, you can use it. So first thing, let add an instance is equal to new Razor Pay. I think we need to import this Razor Pay, so we'll say import Razor Pay from, and it have Razor Pay like this. Then inside this we need to pass a key ID. Okay, so key ID will get it from process.env dot, and let me go to this environment variable to copy this key ID, and then we need to create the key secret, or sorry, we need to pass this key secret which we already have. This need to be a spelling mistake, Razor Pay. So here again process.env dot secret key. Now we are using on the server side or API side, you don't need to provide next_public to this environment variables. Once you created the instance, let me go down, and here we'll simply add constant result is equal to await. Here we have the instance dot subscriptions dot create, because we are creating subscription, and inside this we need to provide some of the important things. Let's say plan ID. Now we already have the plan ID. I will just copy it, and we provide this plan ID process.env dot the plan ID environment variable name. Then customer notify. Only once we have to notify. The quantity is 1. Then total count we have to provide as a 1. Then add-on, we don't have any add-on, so I will put it empty. If you have any nodes, right, you can provide the nodes. For example, let's say key 1, and if I have something, key 1, and you can provide the some node as well over here, and that's all. So this is the instance to create the subscription, and then inside the result we'll get the result. That result we need to return. So here we'll simply say return next response. Make sure to import from the next/server dot JSON, and simply provide this result. Okay, and that's all. This is the API endpoint which we created. Now let's go back to the billing page. Inside here we'll add a constant on payment. Okay, so here on payment method, on payment we're gonna click, we're gonna connect to this get started method. So let me go down and we'll convert this to button. Let's see. And simply we'll add on click method on payment. Okay, now once you user click on this on payment, we have to make an API call. So for that one I am going to use Axios HTTP clients. Very easy to install. Just do a npm i Axios and then it will install the Axios for us. Now in order to make a call, simply you have to write Axios. Let me add Axios. Make sure to import it first from Axios, and here we'll say Axios dot. Just one more important thing, instead of renaming this on payment, here we'll say create subscription. A little bit meaningful here as well. I will add it. And now if I go back over here, perfect. Now we have Axios dot post, and then we have to write API slash create subscription. We don't have body, so I will pass it as empty. As this is a promise, we'll say then response, and here we'll console the response. Okay, like this. And let's test this out. So response contains response.data and save it. Now if I go back to our application, let's verify that we are getting the subscription ID. So if I click get started, right, if you see, we'll wait. So I refresh it. Okay, so the thing is we need to make this page as a used client. Perfect. And this get started, I will just change this to simple button because we already have the styling to this one. Perfect. Okay, now if I click get started and we observe the console, and if you see, we got the subscription ID. Over here you will see the subscription ID. And now if you go to this Razor Pay home page, or not home page, in the subscription, you will see that new subscription ID just created, which is on the June 21. See, and this is the subscription ID. If you see, this ID and the ID which we just created is matching. Perfect. Now this subscription ID, we have to use it in order to make a payment. So here we'll say constant on payment. This method will create. Also to this method I'm going to pass the response dot data dot id, which contains the subscription ID. Here we'll say sub id and is of type string. Now inside this on payment we'll write constant options, and there are some of the options that we need to add it. The first is the key. Now here we need to provide this particular Razor Pay key ID. So what I am going to do, I will write next underscore public because we are using at the client side, and then we have to add that key as well, like this. I will pass process dot env dot this ID. Then we have to pass subscription underscore ID, which is the sub ID. Make sure the spelling and all is correct. This is very important because this field name is the fixed one. Okay, then we have to provide the name of the company. So here we'll say, right now I will say Tube Guruji AI apps. Then you can write the description as monthly subscription. Next we have to provide the image. If you have image, you can provide it. If you don't have, that's completely fine. And most important, we have the handler to this one. Now this handler will return whether it's a successful or not, right? So it has, will set a response like this, and right now we'll just console the response just to check whether the successful or not. And the last, we have to make the reserve call. So here we'll say reserve is equal to new window dot reserve, and that option we need to provide over here. Okay, now over here I think, yeah, that's good. Now once you provide this option, here we just need to open the Reserve payment gateway using Reserve open like this and save it. So I think that's good. Here I will just ignore this warning. So here we'll say ts ignore like this. Oops. And save it. And then we have to already, I think we already make a payment call. That's good. Now I will also add a constant loader state. Here we say loading is equal to use state, and initially I will make it as a false. Now when the create subscription is start, we'll set the loading as a true. If there is any error, we'll set the loading as a false, and on the payment again everything is good. Then over here we'll make the set loading as a false. Let's save it. Now once we add the loading, make sure whenever user click on the payment method, right here we'll add, if we'll check if loading is true, then we'll add the loader, and here we'll add and operation. I think that will be good, and I will disable this button when the loading is true. Okay, and I think that's good. Here I will add a class name, we'll say animate spin, and here we'll make gap of 2 item to be in the center and save it. Now if I go back, we have this get started method. And now one more important thing that we need to add, if you search just on the Google like reserve checkout.js, we need to add this particular script inside your application. So copy this particular script, you can get it from anywhere, okay, or you can get it from my source code as well, and just paste it inside this div like this and save it. So it will load the reserve checkout script for us. Now if I go back to our application and click on get started, you will see this beautiful loading indicator. As soon as the subscription ID is created, then it will open this beautiful checkout page. You don't need to create any checkout page for you. Now I will say pay using this card, and then you can add the card information. Now I already have some test cards, so if I go over here and just type reserve pay test card, so I think they have the test card as well, so we'll use their test card information. If you see, we have the test card information, so we'll use this card information. Okay, so we'll add, this is the credit card, I think so. Let me copy this credit card. Card holder name CVV, and then click pay now. Here we'll skip it, and now you can add any OTP because this is in the test mode, so it will accept it. And if you see, it's saying payment successful, and boom, now our payment is successful. If I go to this inspect panel, you will see the new object with this reserve pay ID, signature, and the subscription ID. Cool, right? It means our subscription is successful. And along with that, you will get an email with the from the reserve pay, that with the invoice and all. Okay, perfect. Now next thing, we need to save this information inside our database. That is very important. But right now inside the schema, we need to create the schema to save the user's information along with the subscription. So let's add that one. So here we'll say export constant user subscription is equal to pg table. Here we'll say user subscription, and then we have to add the column. So first id is of type serial, id dot primary key, then we have to add the user email. So here we'll add the email as a varchar and the email. Then we have to add the username as well. So varchar user name, the status, whether it's active or not, the status, here we'll say varchar again, or we can say active, true and false. Okay, simply, and instead of varchar we'll add a boolean. Make sure to give the column name as a active. Next we can add the payment id, which is the varchar, and we can call it as a payment id, and the created, or we can just say join date as a varchar and join date. Okay, so these are the some of the column which we added. Now let's save it. And in order to update your database, right, if you see our local studio is running, I will stop this studio and then run this command npm run db push. Okay, so what it will do, it will update your database with these new changes along with this new column. Now if you see, it's saying changes are applied. Now you can run the studio just to check whether the changes are applied or not. So here you will see the new table is created called user subscription. Perfect. Now let's go back to our application, and inside this page.tsx, right, whenever payment is made, we will save the information. So here we'll say constant save subscription, subscription. To the subscription, it will accept the payment id is of type string and the arrow function. So here we'll say let's make this as a async, and simply here we'll add a constant result is equal to await, then db dot insert. Now here we need to give the schema name, which is the user subscription from this util schema dot values, and inside this we have to provide the email. Let's provide the user email. So I will add the user's email information using constant user is equal to user, and then simply we can use it here, user dot primary email address dot email address along with the name. In order to save the user name, simply you have to write user dot full name. Then we have to store the whether it's active or not. Currently we'll say true. Then payment id, which we can get from the payment id, and the last is join date. So join date, I will say moment dot format, and the date, which is the format is dd/mm/yyyy. Perfect. And once the result is successful, we'll just console this result. Now this save subscription we need to call over here. If the response is true, then we'll call this save subscription method, and to this save subscription method, as you know that we need to provide this Razorpay payment id. So response dot Razorpay payment id, something like this. Okay, let's save this one, and I think everything's look good to me. Let's save it and let's test this out. So let's click on get started. So here I will click get started. Then we'll pay with the card. Let's copy this card information and let's paste it here. We'll add a future date, holder name, and some random CVV as we are using just testing it, this one, right? I don't know whether this will work or not. Let's say continue. Let's keep it, and then it's making payment. Add some OTP, submit it, and then it's saying payment successful, and boom. So right now let's go back over here and just check it out. If you see, we got the record with the payment ID, who made the payment, email, and everything. That's perfect. Now whenever payment is successful, we'll just reload this particular page. So what we can do, we can just go over here. Here we'll say if result is successful, we'll just window dot, I don't know whether it's a reload or refresh, so it's window dot location dot reload. Perfect, and save it. Okay, so that's how you can add a payment gateway to your application and then save that information. Next, and very important, let me close all of this tab, is to make sure once users subscribe, right, we have to, let me go back over here to our application. Here we need to change this particular message to maybe 100k credit use and all, right, and then user can create as many as he want. So that particular context you can add it over here. It's up to you how you want to add. I will definitely use the context, and at very initially I will fetch the data. So simply I will create a new context. Here we'll say user subscription context dot tsx. Here I will say export constant user subscription context is equal to create context, and initially it will be a null. Okay, and then save it. Now similar like this total usage contact, let's go to this dashboard layout, and then simply I will wrap it. So here we'll say user subscription context dot provider. Here we need to provide the value, and we'll wrap it. Now to this value I will create a new state. Here we'll say user subscription set user subscription. The value will be a boolean, we can keep it, and then initially you can put it as a false. Then these two state we will pass over here so that we can use it anywhere. I don't know what's the error over here, so it's saying is not assignable of type null. Okay, so over here you can mention the type any or boolean, it's up to you, and save it. Now we'll just copy this one so that we can use it. Now whenever in the side navigation bar, if I go to this side now, right, you're already fetching the not here. Okay, so maybe inside the users track you're already fetching the information to count the count, right? Over here we'll use that context. Here we'll say user subscription context, and we'll simply store the value if user is subscribed or not. So simply we'll say constant is user subscribe, and inside this one we can write constant result is equal to await db dot select from user subscription schema we need to add dot where equal to user subscription dot email and comma user not email user dot primary email address dot email address. Okay, so with the help of email address we can just fetch that information. As this is await, we'll make this as a async, and if result then we can set the user subscription as a true. Okay, otherwise it's a false only. Perfect. And this user is user subscription, we can call it here if user and over here. Now if user subscription is true, right, then simply I will change this message over here. I will add a condition if user subscription is true, then you can add more keywords, something like this. Otherwise we'll add 10,000 only. Okay, and let me save this one and let me show you the change. So right now if I refresh this screen, and if you see now here we already subscribe it, right, and that's why it's showing the more credit. But obviously we have to add the logic over here as well. So I don't know the good way we can do it. Let's do one thing here. We'll say constant max words, set max words is equal to use state, and initially it will be 10,000. Okay, now if it's a true, we'll set the max word to 1 lakhs, something like this. And then instead of adding the condition over here, we'll simply add a max words. Okay, and over here as well we'll divide with the max word. Here we'll just make sure it's a number only. I think that's correct. And if you see, because we have subscribed it, that's why it's showing very low progress bar. That's completely perfect. So, and one more thing, I don't know whether we use this. Let me search it, because we use somewhere else as well to just verify that user already have that. Yeah, over here if you see, if you have total usage, right, then we are saying please upgrade, and we are passing to this billing section. Here also we can use this subscription context. So make sure to import this use context as well as use subscription context. And here we'll make sure if total usage is greater than 10,000, we are redirecting it, right? But and here we'll say user subscription is not, and not user subscription. If user is subscription, then we will not allow, or we will not redirect him, and that's all. So that's the only change that we made it. Okay, so whenever user refresh it, user will get, if user is active one, right, means user is already subscribed to it, then he will get this particular message. Inside the billing, if you see, we can show this as a current plan. So let me go back to the billing and simply at the bottom, first I will make this width as a full, and here we'll simply say, first I need to add the context constant. Add this context, make sure to import this, and then here we say user subscription. If it's true, then here we'll just add active plan. Otherwise we can add get started button, and that's all. Save it. Now if you see, if I refresh it, you will see the active plan. Here I will make text align to its center. I don't know what's the issue. Padding X to 12, and that's all. Okay, now everything you can get it from the source code, so you don't need to worry. Okay, if you have any question, any doubt, let me know in the comment section. And if you see now, this is the active plan is showing as active. Perfect. So that's all for this particular chapter. If you have any question, any doubt, let me know in the comment section. Now here is a quick fix we have to do. So whenever we generate any content from the AI, we have to make sure this credit is updated immediately. Otherwise, currently once you generate the content, you have to refresh the screen in order to see the updated credit use. So in order to implement that particular functionality, we are going to simply create a new context, and that context we are going to update whenever there is a change, and depends on the change in the context we are going to update our credit use. So simply here I will create a new context, and here I will say update credit usage context.tsx. Now over here we'll export it constant update credit usage context is equal to create context from the React, and initially I will make it as a null. Okay, here you can make a type any for now because we don't know what will be the type. Then if I go on the creation of the content page, where we are inside the template slug, we have page.tsx file where we are generating this AI content, right? That's where we have to update. But before that, we have to make sure we'll wrap all the dashboard component inside that context. So simply here we'll say update credit use context dot provider. Here we need to provide the value like this, and simply I will paste it here. Then I will add constant update credit usage comma set update credit usage is equal to use state, and here you can give a type any for now because that's what we give inside the context, and simply I will copy this to state over here and save it. Next, let's go to this page.tsx where we have this generate AI content. Here I will just document here use to generate content from AI, and inside here if you see, and as soon as we generate it, right, we'll simply set the context over here. But before that, let's define our context. So here we'll say constant this context is equal to use context and the context name, which is update credit use context. And in order to update this value, we will simply use set update credit use, and here we'll add a date.now method. Okay, so it will return a timestamp every time whenever you update it, right? And this will be the unique timestamp. So that's the reason I use this date.now, and then save it. Now whenever you create any content, right, it will update this usage with this current timestamp, and inside our usage track component, right, over here we're gonna call use effect, and inside this use effect first we will define our context over here, and then simply we'll call this get data method. So here we'll say get data whenever we have this update credit use, something like this. Okay, so whenever you change, this use effect will get updated. And over here even though you did not call over here, that's also fine, but I will make sure the user is available. So here I will say and user, and then save it. Now let's test this out. So right now, let's say you want to generate a blog. So click on it. Here we can give some blog topic idea. Let's say you can give fitness and generate the content. And if you observe over here, it's immediately changed the credit as well. And that's how you can update your credit in a real time, okay, with the help of the context. So same thing, obviously it will work for everything. I also added this couple of more templates. That's how you can just add it in your template.tsx file, and then it will just appear over here. One is to write a code and another is to explain the code. One more important thing I want to add it here. I want to show the user's profile icon on the right hand side, and inside the setting we want to show the user profile setting option. That's you can add it with the help of Clerk. Now inside the setting option, we are going to show a user profile setting option with the help of Clerk. And on the right hand side at the header, also we are going to show the user profile image. So first let's go to the header, just search header.tsx, and inside here, if you see, we just have this div, right? Over here, I'm going to add the user button from the Clerk Next.js. This particular component will give you the user button field like this. See, if you see on the top side, right? Now obviously we want to bring it in one line, so simply I will add a class name, make it flex, give gap of 5, and make item to be in the center like this. And if I click on this, you will see this beautiful option which is from the Clerk. Here you have option to manage the account, and obviously if you want to log out, you can just sign out from here. Also, if I click on setting, we want to show the complete user profile page. So in order to create a setting page, let's go to the dashboard and create a new folder called settings. Inside that, we'll create a page.tsx file and then add a default template. Here we'll rename it to settings and save it. Now if I click on these settings, it will redirect to the setting, but it's supposed to be settings. That's what we give the file name. So I will inside the side navigation bar under the menu, I will just update it to the settings. And if I go back and click on the settings now, you will see the setting page. Cool. Now let's go to this setting page.tsx, and over here we need to add the profile setting icon. Now I will put the link in the description of this particular documentation, and if you see, Clerk is providing a very important component called user profile. This will give you the profile like this with all the options, and you don't need to implement anything from the scratch. Let's implement that one. So here you just need to write user profile from the Clerk Next.js, and if you see, that's how I imported over here, and then save it. Now if I go back to our application, and boom, you will see this beautiful profile from the Clerk. Now obviously you can make put it in the center and all. So here I will add a class name, make it flex, item to be in the center, then simply I will add justify to be in the center, height to be full, and let's save it. And if you see, now it is the center of the screen, and here you have option to manage everything. Okay, so here you want to add email address, you can update the profile image, whatever the profile image you want, you can just update that one according to your requirements. Let me update a cool one. So I don't know whether I have, okay, let's update with this panda. If I save this one, and boom, it's get updated. That's all. And if you see on the right hand side, we have this beautiful panda profile image. That's what we updated from our setting page. So that's all for this particular section. That's how very easily you can update or add the setting with the help of Clerk user profile component. Now it's time to deploy our application. Before deploying, I also added the landing page for our application, and this is a simple landing page. If you want the code for this landing page, you will get it in the description. And then in order to deploy, we are going to use simplest method which help us to maintain our code, as well as whenever we will make any changes and push your code, it will automatically deploy. So first thing, we are going to deploy or push our code to the GitHub. So create a new repo, and from this one you can give a name. So here I will create AI content generator. Then you can make it public, private, it's up to you. Then next, once you make it public, private, it's up to you, and then create a repo. Once you create the repo, you have to set the remote origin with this particular repo URL. So inside your terminal, I will add a new terminal, and here first let's initialize the git. Once it initialize, then set the git remote origin, then just type git add dot, so it will add all the files, and then you can give the commit message using git commit -m. So you can, let's say, initial commit, and the last you can, in order to push it for the first time, you have to use this command, okay, and next time you can just use git push like this, and it will push your code. Now if I go to this GitHub and refresh this particular page, you will see you just push this code to the GitHub, and you will see it just pushed, so it's showing as a now. Okay, now next thing, we are going to use Vercel to deploy our application for free. So if you never used the Vercel before, just go to this vercel.com and then create a new account. Here on the dashboard, click add new project, and then here you need to connect with your GitHub account. Here you will get a different option, but if you are using GitHub, make sure to connect with the GitHub, and then you will see your project name will appear here. Now just click import, and then here you can give whatever the project name you want, and under the environment variable you have to paste all the environment variable which we have inside our application. So if I go to this .env.local file, copy all of this and simply paste it here. So you don't need to enter one by one, and here you will see all the environment variables are available inside under this environment variables. Now one more important thing, if you notice, many of the application or many of the libraries we use to install with the --force, because our toast.ui.editor library is not compatible with the React 18. That's I just observed, okay, and obviously if you want to replace this editor with the different editor, you can do that, but in order to fix this issue and you want to keep everything as it is, right, without affecting anything, not even a single performance issue, under this build and output setting, you just need to update this install command. So just override this one, and here you need to write npm install. Now this particular command help us to install all the dependency, and after this you need to write --force. So for this particular library, it will force us cloud to install this particular library, okay. So that's the reason I added npm install --force, and simply then click deploy. Now it will take a couple of minutes to deploy your application on the cloud. First it will check all the dependency, and then it will install the dependency, it will build your application, and then it will deploy on the cloud. So I will pause the video, and boom, if you see, our application is deployed, and this is simple preview, okay. Now if you click on this one, it will open the URL, but I will continue to dashboard. So let's click on it, and then it will redirect you to this dashboard. Over here you will see this domain. Now obviously if you want to change this domain, let's go to the setting, and then here if I go to this domain section, you will see option to edit this domain. So let's say we will use this domain and save it. So it's already assigned to some project. Here I will say AI content generator to Guruji, and then save it. Okay, perfect. And now if I click on this one, you will see our project is running on that particular domain, and this is our beautiful website. Now let's get started. Here you have to log in with the account. I will select the account, and then it will redirect us to this beautiful our landing or dashboard page where you will see all this information. Okay, so that's how guys you can deploy your application. Now if you face any TypeScript issue or something like that, just fix it, go back to your application, make necessary changes into your code, and then push your code back to the GitHub. Automatically Vercel will get triggered, and it will again try to deploy your application with a new code base. So if you have any question, any doubt regarding to deploy this application on the Vercel or cloud, let me know in the comment section.